By the way, I'm gonna turn on my stream, but please keep like sounding not crazy. Or I mean, like I don't agree with what you're saying, but you still sound less crazy than you did when you were in Wix debate. Um,
I am 100% correct. Sorry, I am 100. You are 100% correct in that I am. That's what you should open the stream with. Is you know, when I'm talking like just chatting normally, and I should do this with Wick more often because I don't want to only be unhinged when I'm talking to him. I don't only want to talk to him when I'm being unhinged.
yeah. Um,
But yeah, it's I regard the question of mass migration as open. There are hateful, evil people who treat it as not allowed to be an open. You're not allowed to make this an open question. You're not allowed to have any preferences
I think it
for
depends
this
on
topic at all.
what you're talking about. Like, listen, if you want to say it's not great to have like millions of people coming into your country in like a single year or whatever, or for that number to be really high, but I feel like America, like that is a discussion that maybe might be better suited to like some European countries, but the United States,
Mhm.
no, not really. I don't even think there's like America can be way more choosy with the people that it lets in, at least as far as like or illegal immigrants or whatever. Illegal immigration is a different story. But I mean, I also take
Right.
issue with like what you're saying because that people who came over after that 1964 Immigration Act or whatever, like those people are Americans now. Their descendants are Americans, unless you don't think that they count as Americans. I don't
I think that
really.
they can be. Like, okay, so a lot of my grandparents on my mom's side of the family, most of them came from, or most of my mom's side of the family came over to Ellis Island around like 1918, 1919, or something like that. Primarily German and German Irish mixes. Dad's side of the family has a much longer history within the side of the country. And while the Irish and Germans and Italians did cause a lot of problems when they first got here and did cause a lot of upset in that process, they did integrate. And I think that fundamentally, if we're taking any, here's what I'd say: I am perfectly happy rejecting the proposition nation or rejecting anybody who rejects the proposition nation and saying that they're not American, even if they were born here, even if they match the I don't know what you would call them, heritage Americans. Is that the dog whistle people use nowadays?
No, the founding stock is the dog whistle that gropers and people like Nick Fuentes use.
The founding stock. That sounds way worse.
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah, that sounds way worse. Yeah. So if you come into the country and you are colonizing it, like okay, if Britain came over, let's just say Britain comes over and they invade and they set up a military base in New Jersey. They said we're going to get you back for Christmas, you fuckers, and a bunch of Brits move in. Some of them have British accents, and some of them start lecturing us on how they are the real true Americans. Uh, and let's say one of them had a kid here, would they be an American? Or would they be a British subject who was born in a British colony?
I mean, according to the Constitution of the United States of America, they would, in fact, be an American because they were born
But they
in the
invaded.
United States. I do not. I'm
Do they?
sorry.
But they're in a British colony.
I disagree with this term. I don't think that a bunch of people immigrating counts as an invasion. Now, if in your hypothetical you're saying
Hold on.
that, hold on. Sorry, let me
I'm
run the
not.
hypothetical
I'm giving you
back.
a really. I'm giving you a really ridiculous example to see if we could establish any kind of common ground. And I feel like if somebody was born in a foreign colony on American soil, at the very least, we could agree, okay, that person's not necessarily an American.
When
At
you
the very least, there's an open question that they are under our jurisdiction, right? They might not actually be on American soil because they have taken territory from us.
Okay, are you talking? All right, sorry. Because I missed part of that because the cat like
Hmm.
decided to get in my face. Are you
The
talking
cats do
about?
what cats do.
Yes. Do you have one?
I do, I do. He's a very large Nibelung who's like 16 pounds and
Oh,
very annoying.
nice. Mine's like 13 pounds now. I need to do something about that. But
Oh no.
yeah. So okay. It sounds like the hypothetical that you are creating actually reminds me of the early history of Israel. Is that like what you're trying to
Mhm.
get at, basically? Where
No, no,
essentially
it's
the Zionists came to Palestine, although Palestine wasn't a country, it was part of the Ottoman Empire, and it was their goal to set up their own country there, and they kind of hoped that they would be able to do it if the people who were if they could get the people who were living there basically they just kind of fuck off and leave. Um, and then they
no, no,
figured that
I'm
they yeah.
literally just talking about like the American, like trying to set some baseline for the American proposition. And so, if there's any kind of distinction that we can make between like somebody who is a legal citizen and somebody who believes, could somebody be a legal citizen, or could there be an open question about their citizenship, and could we ask whether they were spiritually more like intellectually an American, and like does the American proposition have any value?
I mean, okay, first of all, you're gonna have to tell me what do you mean by the American proposition? Um,
A civic nationalism, like a basis of values that we're going to base our society off of rather than just an ethnicity,
oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think
right?
that America is based on I think that the one of the entire big things about America is that it is not based off of an ethnicity. That like anybody can
Right. That's
come
the
and
American
become an
proposition.
American.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like that's I mean I would argue Canada has the same thing. That it's the same kind of shit. Like there's no ethnicity or whatever. Like that
Well,
the
Canada
yeah.
lacks an ethnicity, but I feel like America has a, when I say the American proposition, there are there are morals included in that. Like people believe that's contingent on certain beliefs that people have about the subject of rights. Hey, do we have natural rights? Do we trust common law?
I mean, yeah,
But
that's
Brian
it.
McLally
Yeah,
keeps mentioning like
yeah,
Scottish common
you're
sense, which
you're
is interesting, but I don't know much about.
yeah, you're talking about enlightenment values. Yes, I know. Um, yeah.
Not just Enlightenment values, like there's still the principles of a largely Christian nation. It's a mix of things.
That I disagree with. Unless you want to say that, or like, I don't
Yeah,
really
if
like
you want to
the.
be ahistorical about it,
No, I
sure,
don't.
but
I
most
don't
of these
like
men were
the.
Christians and they had.
I'm
I know about we had like the Christian. I'm not a Christian nationalist, just to be
Oh no, I'm
absolutely
not
fucking
talking
clear.
about
I
that.
get it.
No, I disagree. I think that separation of church and state is by design inbuilt into the United States Constitution. I think it's pretty clearly in there. And no, like not all the
Yep.
like
Also a
yeah.
Christian principle because it's based on Christian principles.
Okay, well, if you're
And it
saying
was
that
designed by Christian men. I don't think that they were apostates
they
or
weren't all
heretics. They certainly
Christians.
didn't. They were not all. Yes, they were not all Christians. Some of them were deists. Some of them had a more general belief in God and just happened to be informed by the
Yes.
time and society that they lived in, which was around the vast majority of them Christians, and not just Christians of a passing variety, but people who were scholars and spent a lot of time thinking about this sort of thing and how it influenced their
Yeah,
beliefs about
well,
how a nation should be run.
yeah, I know because that was I mean, I would argue that to at least some extent, obviously, like Christian morality or whatever, to whatever extent that is, even though a lot of that stuff wasn't necessarily unique to Christianity. It's not like the concept of turn
The
the other
question
cheek
is,
came to Christianity.
yeah,
But a lot of that stuff, obviously, that stuff influenced the Enlightenment. So, like, because like most people were Christians at any rate at that time. So like I think that it's all kind of mixed together anyway.
many
Um,
Enlightenment thinkers were atheists, but still, sure, absolutely. But they were contemporary. Like Christianity didn't disappear. So, like these were
oh, I'm not saying
while they were
Christianity.
discussing John Locke, they were also going to church, and I think that's I don't know if I get interested, and I don't know how. You tell me if you want to stop looping on this at any point, and I'll happily do so. But I do find it interesting when folks try to, again, in a really simple conversation about what America is, whether it has any, whether there are any values that you ought to have as an American, when people start trying to chop that list down. Makes me a little nervous.
Um, I mean, it's very funny actually that you would say stuff like that because that right now I would contend that the people who are anti-American are MAGA, not
Okay.
like, and the reason why I would contend that is because that they're the ones who are pissing all over the Constitution and worshiping at the altar of a guy who very clearly doesn't care about it and who tried to steal an election. And
Okay.
yeah, it's like I just now in terms of what you're saying, I do think that there is definitely something there. I think that there are certain values, like I would argue probably on the general term, like the values of like democracy and liberty and free speech, like the stuff that's in the Constitution basically. Um
That seems pretty important.
yeah, I think that that stuff, I think that you could say that, like, yeah, sure, you should probably like share those values to at least some degree. But at the same time, I mean, that's the other thing about living in a free society like this is that, I mean, do we really want to start like kicking people? Because there's actually lots of people who live in America who were part of the quote unquote founding stock who don't necessarily agree with all those things in the same way that,
Sure, sure, but
yeah.
I have very intentionally avoided uh, demanding remigration or deportation in this conversation, right? Because we're being reasonable and chatting reasonably. So
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes into it. The reason I'm asking this is, can I show suspicion? Because again, when it comes to immigration, I think it's totally reasonable. I think that racism is anti-American,
Yes,
at least
I think it
as
is
far as the
too.
current. Right. So I think that people who express racism or come from racist cultures, some kind of threshold past which we're
Um,
not just suspicious, but confident that they're racist
the
or
only
would bring racism
the
to America.
only the only issue that I would have with that though is the fact that you are assuming that those people
You
couldn't
might lose
integrate.
voters.
What?
You might lose voters.
No, 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 no. I'm saying that you're assuming those people couldn't integrate in any way, or that their children, just as a result of simply growing up in America, wouldn't and like spending their time around kids of, let's say, different races, wouldn't change as a result of that. The United States seems to
No to the
honestly
first one,
be.
yes to the second one, but it's not necessary for me to be correct about the first one because I'm not obligated to let anti American people into America. Certainly.
Um, I
I
mean,
would hope
sure,
we could
you
agree on
could.
that.
No, I'm sorry, but I don't like. I'm not really okay with like. And unless you could prove to me that there was like a shitload, like unless like we could like find a problem where a shitload of people are going to come into the country and they're going to be like really at like there was a specific group that was coming in and it was obvious that they had that they were racist or they had some sort of ulterior motive, like you could point that out, like
Yeah,
with the
sure.
Zionists in who were immigrating to Palestine, whose goal it was, and they were out about it, was to make their own country. But I think that that's a little bit different than just a bunch of people immigrating to a place. I'm not
Like
okay
if we
with
weren't
what you're
at
basically
war with
talking
Nazi
about is
Germany.
thought crimes. Like
No, it's not thought crime.
you're saying you
This
can't
is
come
again
here if
like
you believe a thing, even though it's perfectly fine for people who already live here to believe that same thing.
sure, yeah, that's 100% normal. Was endorsed. That's a viewpoint endorsed by the founding fathers because obviously you're not entitled to immigrate here and just completely change the character of the nation.
Yeah, but you're assuming that one person coming to a country is going to completely change the character of the nation.
No, I'm not.
And
I'm
if we're
absolutely not. And if you're defending immigration of one person, like say per year, 10 years, per century,
no, I don't.
I will lay down my arms. But we're discussing 1 million people per year or more every year.
Yeah, but you're assuming that all of those people have the same beliefs, and that's not even true, by the way.
No,
For
I'm not.
example, like
I'm absolutely not. Yes, it absolutely is true. We're getting one over 1 million people per year coming in. That's 100% correct.
Wait, are you? No, I mean, I don't have the numbers right now. I'm not necessarily as interested in an empirical discussion because I would have to like look a bunch of stuff up. I'm more like curious about the philosophical aspects of it. But
Oh,
like, let's assume that
right.
that's
No, no, that's my
correct.
bad. I went
And if it,
assuming that I'm not completely off base, which hey, it's happened before. Um, I'm not doing this on the basis of one person. I'm explicitly discriminating against cultures. I'm
yeah,
discriminating
but
against cultures.
which cultures? Because like, if you're talking about, for example, the people from Latin America, a lot of those people are like socially conservative people who would probably vote Republican if the Republican Party wasn't so goddamn racist.
Yeah, I mean, Latino men, I think, got Trump elected in the last election. So sure, absolutely. I do think that there's a little bit of ethnic enclave stuff, but not as much. So I think that you could say, provided we're not at active war with any of these Latin American countries or with elements of their countries, I think that would be totally fine to not restrict them explicitly. What about countries with, say, caste systems, like where they considered certain people more beautiful, certain people, like they considered by virtue of your blood, you are of a higher caste, you're
Are
born
you
into it,
are you
you're
talking about
superior.
Indian people now? Because as far as I'm
I was
aware,
talking about Nazi Germany, actually, but if we're going to the other country that uses the windmill of peace, I suppose we can switch topics.
yeah, but I'm
I
just
am
saying,
prepared.
as far as I'm aware, like Indian Americans are generally fine, and I don't even really think there's that many of them.
What does generally fine mean? What the hell?
It means that
Come
I haven't heard
on.
anything crazy about them. In fact, it seems like the only context in
All
which they
right.
get brought up is like fucking Sam Hyde and other people being super mad about H-1B visas. It also seems like, and I would imagine this is probably true, because that most countries that are really far away, if you're someone from India who's going to immigrate to the United States, and if you're not coming as a refugee, which you probably aren't, you probably are only going to be able to come if you're wealthy, because that India is really far away. Like that's part of the reason why most of the
No, we have
like
an international banking system. We've had one for some time, but now it's digitized. And what that lets people do is pull together money. They can send money back home. People from back home can send them money. People's entry into the country and sustained entry can be funded. And on top of that, if you come from a culture that is fine with, like, let's say, having three or four families within a single home, then you actually can sustain that on relatively low incomes. Especially if you, here's a really fun part, especially if you refuse to pay for services deemed necessary or fees deemed necessary, or if you scam people, if you encourage them or request that they do not uh, write up tax notes, if you say, hey, give me a deal on this. I know that I'm renting out, this is my favorite example, renting out to a family here in one of my rooms or one of my condos, and because I brought them over, it's infested with German cockroaches. And I just want a one-time service. I'd like it to, I'd love to get it for about $30, and I'd like a guarantee that I could call you back whenever those German cockroaches show up again. And no, I don't want consistent pest control, even though I'm required by Texas law. Like, we have protections for Texas residents, Texas renters. Like, we need to provide them with AC. We need to provide them with pest control because bugs are fucking everywhere in Texas. But yeah,
I feel like you just went off on like a weird tangent. Although you
I
live in
did. Sorry.
Texas, that's cool. I have a
Let me
friend who
wrap that
lives in
back into
Texas.
people.
Couple
Yeah, so the
friends.
point was people who, just
Go
to
on.
bring it back around, if you refuse to play by the local rules and you come from a culture that cooperates in scams or in mistreatment of the host country, then you actually can make it here on relatively low budgets. There's ways to make it here on relatively low budgets, even if you're not scamming people. I've had to do it before. Real shoestring budget. That really sucks. But yeah.
Okay, but like you would have to show me data that people were actually doing this because overall, like I am still in it. Like I'm just saying though that like that was
Okay.
generally my feeling, and like I feel like that's not. And also, like, honestly, I don't even know
I
the
happen to be aware of a coalition who disagrees. I mean, there's people who are not happy with a 20%, um, with a massive increase in a foreign ethnic population that engages in a caste system, and we've seen no data that they dropped this caste system. I would urge that the burden of proof, and I hate to do this, but I think that the burden of proof should be on the people who are bringing these people in to say, hey, this is the value of these people, even if they do bring in the caste system because it is a obvious risk.
Okay, the issue that I have is that you're like assuming that if a bunch of people come in, it means that they're gonna like automatically somehow manage to override the laws of the country in order to like bring in their caste system or like their racism or whatever other shit, when like something like that would take so
Mhm.
long. Like there's no caste, like the caste system just doesn't exist in America, and it's not just going to like come in and then suddenly manage to pop up and appear. And like if they try to like start doing shit related to that that breaks the law, then they're going to break the law and they're going to get in trouble for it. In the same way is that like
Mhm.
if someone from, actually I shouldn't even just say Muslims, because like there's like other like African Christian cultures and other cultures that do this as well. If like a group of people from a culture who thought honor killing was okay came over here and they engaged in honor killing, like it's not like we're going to be like, oh well, we can't do anything about it because it's your culture. No, that's still fucking illegal. You committed murder and you're going to go to prison.
There are countries that have faced that same fate, but we'll put that to the side for the moment.
Yeah, but we're talking about the United States right now. I
We're
think the
talking about the
United
United States.
States
Yeah,
is
we
very
got guns here. We
choosy.
don't have to worry about that shit.
No, that's not the only. That's not just what I'm saying though. I'm saying
Of
that.
course, it's not the only.
Yeah, I
I
know.
know. We're being a little bit silly. But
Also,
what would that, just
yes.
to clarify, what would that look like to you? So you're saying that these people would come here and they wouldn't do jack shit. They would act like straight off the boat. They're going to act like Americans and and not burden the host country. So what would it look like if they were to start burdening the host country with these, again, anti-American beliefs? What would that look like to you? Because maybe I could find an example, or maybe there is no example because I'm wrong, of
What
these
would
people
it
engaging in this
what
behavior.
would it look like to me? Like start burdening the host country with anti-American. I mean, it
Well, you're
might.
mentioning like stuff that they can't do, or stuff that they wouldn't be able to do, or stuff that would be prohibitive for them to do, but like not with a lot of specifics. So what
Well, I
the
mean,
things that you were mentioning, they're not gonna like be able to surpass the laws or supersede the laws. They're not gonna be able to bring the caste system into America. What would it look like if they were? Because I want to see if we're on the same page about what that would look like.
um, okay. What would it look like if they were trying? Okay, so listen, this is how I would typically imagine this kind of shit happening if this were going to happen. Or
Mhm.
like based on like the fear that people have, is like basically there would have to be a whole bunch of immigrants that would have to come in, and there would have to be enough of them that they could then either form their own political party or get specific candidates elected or infiltrate one of the major political parties to such an extent that the values that they have are then like reflected on that particular political party, and then they would start running on that kind of stuff, and then there would be enough of this new immigrant population in order to basically change the rules or the laws within the country or something like that. However, that's not a
That's the
thing.
history of America. I didn't even think of that example because I was like, that's
Is
too
it?
on the nose.
Is Hold
That's
on.
the Sierra. Here's an example. The Sierra Club used to be anti-immigration. The
Oh,
Sierra Club is no longer anti-immigration. The Sierra Club's chosen political actors receive votes from immigration. Now, it used to be obvious and it used to be widely reported on that people who come from the third world don't have the same views of trash and ecological preservation that we do, which is obvious. And that's not me attacking them, right? If you grow up in a culture where everybody throws trash in the river, you're not going to think anything of it when people throw trash in the river. You're just going to be, you might be curious about the lack of trash in our river, like in this random creek, but that isn't necessarily going to stop you from throwing trash into the river.
I mean,
And again,
the
not a
Sierra
criticism. That's just a normal. There are things that I see in America that I don't question because I was just born here.
the
That's
Sierra
just a
Club
facet of human life.
looks like it's like a liberal and progressive organization though, or if it didn't start out as that, it became that, and it probably
It
has
was
always
a
been that.
liberal and progressive
Yeah,
organization and
but
still is today. And
yeah,
liberal and progressives sometimes had different views, which recall was they had different
yes.
policy recommendations, which recall was your condition, the one that you gave me, whether or not immigration was changing the character of the country, which again, was
Yeah,
very
but a
low
bunch of
bar.
people, like I would have to see who the people were within this Sierra Club that changed like it to be more pro-immigration, because that just sounds like a general liberal view, right?
No,
Like
no,
liberals
because
tend to
it
be more
didn't use it.
pro-immigration.
They tend to be, but that doesn't mean that they open the floodgates with no restrictions to everybody.
Okay, I don't. I feel like you are using like it feels like you're just trying to like trigger me by being the most like it like no. There's what do you mean open the
Normal, the
floodgates?
regular guy.
No, by
Yeah,
using the
no,
most
open the floodgate.
incendiary language. No, there was no opening of the
It's
floodgates.
There
What are
was
you?
100%. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, mass migration in human history. And you can say that it's good, and that's totally fine. I don't
Are you
think that I should
talking
be
about
required to
the
like it and say that it's
number
good.
of people who have come to the United States since the passing of like the Hart-Celler Immigration Act? Because that was a long
It
ass
was
time ago,
only
dude.
60 years. No, it was only 60 years ago. But hold on. I get what you mean, right? It's not all at once. It's
Well,
not
no,
literally all at once. That's a totally fair
it's
objection.
not. And also like right now to legally immigrate to the United States, it takes like 10 years. America is still very can still be very choosy about who decides who comes to the
No,
US. They certainly
that's
are in
not the
terms of who
metric.
gets to be a refugee.
Belinda, I'm sorry. That's not the metric of whether or not there's mass migration, is whether it takes people a long time. There's a lot of people on the planet. And so if it changes the population of the country
Yeah, but I
to
don't.
be 1/6 immigrants or the children of immigrants or 1/5 or one
Okay, I
third,
guess
that's pretty
my
significant.
question, yeah, but my next question is, who cares? Why does this matter? Like, it feels like have the
Mhm.
values still haven't really changed that much, unless you're just mad. Like, do
The
you think that
values have wildly shifted.
do you think that immigrants made the United States more liberal?
No, no, because I don't think that they broadly hold liberal values. But
Okay, then
that's a semantic discussion,
in what way have
perhaps.
they changed the United States? Because unfortunately,
Oh, they've made it. I believe that they've made it way more racist. They hold to ethnic
are
enclaves
you
within
serious right now? You think the United States has gotten more racist than it was like under segregation and Jim Crow? Really?
Can I say under segregation or Jim
No,
Crow
but
or
you
like
like you're saying they made it more racist. That doesn't
I think our
make
population of racist people has increased, yes.
I
I think
don't.
we had a general trend towards anti-racism,
Is
and
this a
that led to
101? I'm sorry.
and that led to the repealing of Jim Crow and the repealing of, all the nasty things that were done to African Americans who are our citizens, are Americans, who do share in the propositional nation, and fought very hard to make sure that that propositional nation would survive as a proposition rather than just being a kind of white ethno state, and made a lot of sacrifices in that pursuit. And the people who came after do not share those opinions, don't share those values all the time. There are many who do. There's some who don't, and they've gotten in. It seems like with little to no scrutiny, possibly for the purpose of just setting up ethnic enclaves that would provide one party with votes.
What
I
you
think
mean
one that they do
Demo
it in a racist way. I think that Somalians in Minnesota basically airdropped in Omar Fateh. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that.
Yeah,
Apologies
he
if I am.
lost.
Lost because his co-ethnics were not actually his co-ethnics. There are multiple tribes of Somalians. They're so populous within this little town called Minneapolis, and there's an opposing tribe which declared that they were going to vote for the opposing for sorry Fateh's opposition because they dislike Fateh's tribe, and they are, to be clear, that's racist.
Okay, and how many of these people are they, and to what extent do you actually think they contributed to him
Enough
losing
to
the
swing
election?
an
I
election in this
I
one
I
particular
I
location.
am very doubtful of this. Also, like, who was the
How
person
many?
he
What kind
was?
of number would you be expecting out of curiosity? Because you didn't seem to know anything about the number of people who've come here since, um, well, since 1960, but like
Yeah, but
in
no,
general,
I
even
know that it's like in the millions, but I think that it's people who make that argument are
it's in the
silly.
tens of
I
millions.
I think that people who make that argument are silly, and I don't care how many people are coming to the United States or to any other country who who are immigrants, who are now the children of immigrants or whatever. You have to like explain why that's bad. You can't just be like bar immigrants
Well, hold on,
bad.
because you're switching the qualifications. So every time I bring up something that I dislike, we switch to we're basically on this carousel at this point. So I brought up why I dislike the, or sorry, you. I asked you, what would it take to look like immigration was negatively affecting the country, or just affecting the country in general, right? We could make a
Well, I mean,
determination whether
it's
it's
probably
negative
gonna
afterwards.
affect the
And
country. I
I
just don't know if I
explained to
care.
you on your own qualifications that it does. And then we went around to like, well, why do you care? I said, well, I don't want to live in a racist country. Among other things, I think that I will be targeted, but I'm also like, so I have a self interest argument, but also I believe in the American proposition. I am an American. I don't want to share the country with non Americans. And I mean that in the people who reject the propositional nation.
Hello, Zonia.
Hi.
Hey, Sonia.
Um, I'm streaming if you want to see the cat.
Ooh. Oh, hang on. I'm getting a call from my
All
Walgreens.
right.
Hang on.
Um,
Well, you can still look at the cat while you do that.
yes, that's true. Here. Um, okay.
Is it that lit girl with like what? Where's the second L?
What?
I assume that you were streaming on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I am, but my name on YouTube is just Kalinda.
Oh
My
fuck.
Twitter handle
Okay.
is like the lib girl. Um, or rather it's at Kalinda Live, but if you search for Kalinda, you should find it. Hello, kitty. Um, okay, so like basically my view here is that when people complain about immigration and they say like stuff about like immigrants or whatever, because when you initially made the argument, it sounded like you were just mad that more people in the United States were descendants from immigrants instead of being descended from the quote unquote founding stock. And I'm saying that's something that I don't care about. Um,
Uh-huh.
but
Hey, so
now you're
just to be
talking
clear that
about
you're
everyone's more
I need to interrupt
racist.
for a moment because I went off on a big tangent about my grandparents coming down from
Yeah,
Ellis
yeah,
Island.
yeah. I know. I'm not trying to misrepresent you. I'm saying, but now you're talking
I
about
think
like
that
your
was a
view is
misrepresentation.
that
I think
people
that
are more
deserves like an apology pretty
okay. All
obviously. I don't
right.
think that was
No, that's fair. I'm sorry, but that wasn't actually what I was trying to say. I'm just saying that like
you're trying to get to something else. All right. I don't mean
no,
to like just hammer you. I want
I
to make sure that you're
was
listening though.
no, I was listening. It seems like your contention is that you think that people who are coming over to the United States are like these immigrants are racist and that they stick to ethnic enclaves and stuff like that.
Some of them do. Some of them integrate. Would you grant me that some of them integrate um, better than others? I mean, this is almost unfair.
I mean, I feel like I would have to see data on that then too. Like, and also to be completely
That's
honest,
fair.
I think that first of all, I would still argue that I think the United States does a better job at integrating immigrants than a lot of other countries do. I mean, for fuck's sakes, I don't know if these polls are still like the same, but like a while ago, there was polling that showed that Muslims supported gay marriage more than evangelical Christians did. Like, and these Muslims are obviously the children
You
of
said Poles, and I thought
immigrants.
you were going to go off on the Polish.
No,
No,
no.
we have a different, dirtier word for those people. No, I'm kidding. I love Poland. I went to Poland.
I
No,
want to go
so
there.
I 100%. It's so Gdansk is beautiful, and the wilderness is
Yeah.
pristine.
Well, I mean, I want to I'm gonna go. I want to spend like a week there just looking at Holocaust stuff because Nazi Germany is my quote unquote special history special interest thing. But that's neither here nor there. I
If you get a chance to go to Gdansk, stop by the memorial to the end of the Iron Curtain or the end of the
oh yeah, that
what?
too.
Yeah, it's it's impactful.
That is
I
because
oh, what
What
the fuck was that?
is Ika trying to talk? I have never heard you speak before. Are you
I
trying
have
to?
many years ago.
Is Ika like actually like
In a galaxy far, far
is
away.
hold on, Sonia, you have to tell us, is Ika actually like a girl? Because that we know because none of us know. And we think that Ika might just like be pretending to be yeah. I don't know.
Um, Aika is a girl, but I don't know Aika's current like gender identity because I haven't really interacted with Aika in
different
a little
nations
while.
can externally exert soft power in America through cultural means to influence our votes.
Fuck
If
Aika.
China held hegemony, they can maintain it by flooding America with Chinese media that asserts Chinese values. We do not ban immigrants because throwing immigrants at a country is not only a loss for the origin country economically and a benefit for the receiving country, but also because this natural exchange is just something which a democracy accepts. In a democracy as malleable
God,
as
Aika.
America, everything up until this point has been the result of the groups that have entered it. That is
Interesting.
because America's suppression of the indigenous and formation into statehood coincided with the development of statehood as a modernized concept, and by the time it became independent,
Through
it coincided
colonization.
with the development of nationhood as a formal concept.
The development
For
of
that,
nationhood, by
America
the way,
is
was carried out
extremely
through
lucky.
war, which was not
This
just
also means that America's
explicit or
defining power
forceful,
variable has,
violent,
and
but
still
often
is as well,
Hold on.
something that has
regular
shown resilience
colonization.
to even major changes in
Aika,
populations not only in
everybody's
parts of
gonna end up
America,
muting you
but
if
in
you
the
don't
nation
control her.
entirely.
Ika,
This allows America to be
Did-
at next to no existential risk due to
did she just
migration,
write
and
an
you are a complete
essay?
idiot if you think
I think
otherwise.
She
just like a
got
message.
got
I saw her typing early
she got
on. I don't know.
yeah, I think she got AI to read off something
Oh,
because
okay.
I've seen Aika's typing and it's nowhere near as well written as
Also,
that
oh my
was.
god.
But
That's
yeah, I've heard Aika
fascinating.
talk years ago. Aika used to be in my community years ago. And
Okay.
but now they're kind of back in Wix community, I guess.
Yeah. Look
Back
at
in
this.
black.
For a break.
Look at this
And white.
adorable baby.
Yeah, it's my little boy. He's in my lap. Yeah,
The
Aika, if
creature.
you're gonna use like an AI text to speech thing, you can't just throw in massive paragraphs like that. There's got to be breaks. You should just
It
type in
can't
a
be
side
the
chat.
it can't be the big speech in the middle of Ayn Rand's, what was it? Was it Foundation?
Atlas
No,
shrugged.
the Fountainhead. Not
Oh.
not
The
the
Fountainhead.
Oh, the
Foundation.
fountain.
Yeah. Boy, did that derail the conversation. You
Yes.
guys go
Foundation
back to
by
fighting.
Well, no, I mean,
So-
it doesn't. To be honest with you, I almost kind of want to argue about something else because, like, I really need to. Like, I mean, I guess on a
Yeah,
philosophical
do you have anything?
on a philosophical level, I have views about immigration that, like, I think generally overall, it seems that immigration is mostly good for countries, and it's just like, but I don't necessarily have the answers to certain questions. I think that there's a lot of fear mongering around it, but I feel like that fear mongering probably works better in Europe because there actually were a lot of immigrants that came over, like the Syrian refugee crisis and stuff. And it was easier for them to do that because that they were closer. Whereas the United States got to be incredibly choosy about which Syrian refugees or Middle Eastern refugees they got to accept, if they even accepted any. And I don't think they even accepted that many, really.
We got to pick the worst ones regularly. We get to pick the worst stock of the, to use a Groiper term, I guess, the worst stock of the world. That feels icky to say out loud.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Well, I mean, like
airdropping 80,000 Haitians into like a random Midwest town. It's like, ooh, man, that's evil. What a terrible thing to do with today's job market. It seems like terrorism.
I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that it's good for like Haiti got into a whole bunch of trouble or whatever, and people there were.
Well, yeah, it's an
suffering.
island of. I won't use that word. I don't know which platforms you're streaming on. It's an island of.
I'm streaming on YouTube,
cannibals.
but you were gonna say it was an island of garbage, right? Echoing that one dude's joke.
Exactly. That guy.
I forget that guy's name. But like,
But
no,
an
I mean,
island of low IQ cannibals
Haiti,
who share nothing in common. And low IQ racist cannibals, by the way. And we understand that low IQ and racism go together.
Okay.
But specifically low IQ racist cannibals.
Stop. A lot of the, like, first of all,
you didn't object until I called them racist.
No, I feel like, I mean, it wasn't about the racist stuff. It was like just about the general overall characterization of like Haitians as being low IQ and.
Which they are. It's not even a proper state. It's racked by natural disasters
the
that
allegations.
they're not able to.
Yeah, I know it's not a proper state. I know that they have
the average IQ of Haiti. See, what you're doing is
the average IQ of Haiti. The average IQ of Haiti is probably like, if it's low, it's probably because they have shitty education, because they're like a failed state, like you were just saying.
Yeah, they're also stupid. That's why they have a failed state.
I think it's more because of the
they killed off intelligent people.
I think it's more because of the natural disasters there.
I think that could be. That could definitely contribute to it. I mean, malnutrition is not good for your IQ.
I think they rolled I think they got fucked with a bad spawn, and doesn't really help them. There's like a few countries in Africa that also got fucked with a bad spawn point too, where like they don't have great natural resources and whatnot.
Maybe Ash would be willing to help them respawn.
I don't know what that means. I'm worried. You worry me. I'm used to being the extremist. If somebody manages to like beat me up, Wick knows this very well. He'll pull it out every once in a while because he's a master. But like, if nothing stun locks me better than somebody pulling something. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's just.
Whatever the causes are, I don't see why it's beneficial to airdrop 80,000 of them into a random Midwest town. And I think that I do think that the burden of proof is on.
An injection of workers can help a local town's economy.
They're not workers.
Yeah, but no, there were people in that town.
They're below most of them are below the floor for what the U.S. military even considers trainable. I recall seeing interviews by the way, pretty low already.
I recall seeing interviews from people in that town who said that they were good workers at like jobs that were low skill jobs. Like I think was it steel mills or like factories or whatever, jobs that,
we don't have factories and steel
privileged
mills.
Americans don't want to do.
Skill. Are you fucking?
Do you think that there's
everybody? I would fucking love I would fucking love to work at a steel mill. I didn't get the chance to.
Okay, not a steel mill then, but like, do you actually? Do you? I hope you don't. Are you one of those people who thinks that factory work is amazing?
Okay, Kalinda, you don't know my personal history, so I'll give you a happy pass. However, maybe we could use this as a teaching example for how you assume things about other people and your relatively
you
consistent history of being wrong nearly
you
every
you
single
you
time.
also assume
I
things
have been
about
working
people.
since I was 14, and it started with manual labor. I grew up on a horse farm, bringing hay bales around, which were like 50 pounds, since I was 6. And the muscles were nice growing up there, but it was hard. But I did appreciate it because I mean, there's just certain things to appreciate when you're working with your hands. It can be the repetition can be handy
Okay, do you
for
think
like
that
clearing
the
the mind.
average American would want to do a job like that though? The average privileged
I
middle
think that
class
we would prefer it
American?
to Door. I think a lot of people would prefer it to DoorDash. I think a lot of people would prefer it to
I
if they're
mean,
not able to go to college, for instance, or if they're not able to complete college because of something that happened in their life, like mine, because I had to flee my home state and then I went homeless. Had to pull out that card again, but like it seems to do wonders with this crowd.
I'm not
So
sorry. May
yeah.
I interrupt?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
just don't no essays, please.
Yeah,
Baby pick
while you're
incoming.
typing, wait for me to finish and then just and then just hit the enter key. But yeah, so a lot of people would prefer that, like if they could make $45 an hour at a steel mill or at a factory or something like that, they would prefer that one to homelessness, two to DoorDash, three to other gig
I
economy. We could
mean,
just put that under gig economy. Uh,
yes, of course they
four
would
to
all.
places that offer no advancement. Like there's a lot of the job market kind of sucks right now. So something that's consistent, has a decent pay that you might be able to sustain yourself on, and maybe even a family out of reach of most Americans
I
today. If they want a family, I think that they might appreciate it. Yeah. That's not really. I think you don't understand something about the current American workers' conditions today. Absolutely not. But two, you just don't understand like people and what they
Okay,
want.
no,
Like, a lot
listen.
of people
I
want
I think
consistent work.
yes, I agree that a lot of people want consistent work, but I think that the issue that we're having here is your assumption that forget about the steel mill thing, okay? Because I don't even know like what like I'm talking.
Because
I'm
I
saying
slapped you down pretty hard on it.
no, it's yeah, because I'm not necessarily as
I
familiar
did.
with like what steel workers do or whatever. But what I'm saying is that I feel like you're making this assumption that these Haitian workers that were working like or any other like types of work that they were doing, it probably wasn't paying particularly well, but they were still doing it and they were still hardworking. And even just looking around, I just found that this town, Springfield, Ohio, that these Haitian immigrants were a boon to their economy. That like it
What
was
does
it was
boon to their
good.
economy mean?
By the way, new baby pick in chat.
Yes, I had put it up
He
on
is
the
so
screen.
cute.
Oh,
What an absolutely adorable face this cat has. Look at this cat, chat. Look. Look at this adorable, adorable baby. Oh, this cat is
oh, you're sharing it with your chat.
yes.
Ooh.
Is this cat a brown
Oh.
tabby? Does does he have little
He's
booties?
yeah, he's tabby, but really kind of mixed. So he's got a little bit of tabby, a little bit of like his mama's calico in him, and a bunch of other stuff going on. He's got little blotches and stuff.
He looks like
Hmm.
a calico mix.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely does seem. Oh,
Yeah, he's
hello.
got the brown blotches of his mama. It's really cute.
Deeply adorable creature.
Um,
Yeah, so I
Ica
don't
really wants
consider
to
immigration
post
that like
something.
just or economic activity that just goes to other people who just got here, especially when the job market kind of sucks and people need jobs, they need works. If people are outsourcing labor either to other countries or if they're importing people to for the purpose of paying them lower wages, or not even just lower wages, just paying people besides them wages.
I mean,
We
there's a
already
bunch
have a
of
lack of jobs. We already have a lack of housing.
I th-
That's not good.
I think okay,
I'm totally fine saying pause the experiment until those problems are fixed.
I don't know that the lack of jobs thing is necessarily the case. But I would have to look
That's
into that
okay
further.
because people are going to vote on it
Yeah, I know,
People are
because the
gonna vote on
people,
it
yes, because
anyways.
people vote on
Because if you
vibes.
tell them,
Yes.
hey, the line go up, bro. The line go up. Everything's fine. You're actually doing great. You're living in an apartment that costs half your yearly income, and then you have a shit ton of bills on top of that, most of which are mandatory. And you don't get to take vacations, and your groceries are expensive. But wait, no, your groceries aren't expensive. I've shown you a different graph that shows you they're not expensive. I'm sorry, it's not. The measures of human progress are not contained on the graph. The graph is a abstraction that we use to track these things. And if you just move the numbers around
It's
on
not
the
it's not
graph,
just
that doesn't
about
make
the
their lives
numbers.
better.
So, okay, so you don't think empirical data,
That's my argument to you. It's
don't-
not just about the numbers.
yes, I understand that
I
people
know
are
my life is
stupid
getting
and they
worse. I
vote
know
on
that
vibes.
people around me
I
are
know.
they also have their lives getting worse. Yeah, I think that you criticize. It's very funny when Ben Shapiro says facts don't care about your feelings and stuff like that, but actually, feelings do matter more than facts because feelings are based on your evolution, your layered knowledge of moral hazards versus statistics that people will just make up or will manipulate or abstract in the incorrect way just to fuck with you and just to convince you that, man, listen, who are you going to believe, my graph or your own lying eyes? We're very familiar with the game at this point, and there's not going to be much benefit to it for much longer. So if somebody can come up with an argument to say, hey, we're going to bring in this many immigrants and this unemployment rate for you people, for the domestic population, that's going to go down by this much. You people, you Springfield natives, you are going to all have jobs as well because we actually needed workers in order to supply XYZ. If you make that argument, then one, go ahead. Two, I get to call you on it if it doesn't go that way. And so, because there's no offer that comes with immigration that's specific, measurable, quantifiable, everything's kind of woo woo. Every time we come up with a metric for why, or even theorize on a metric for why it might not be going great, you retreat to a different position and say that you don't know why people are opposed to it. So those are the behaviors. You might not be doing this on purpose. You might not be doing it at all. But those are the behaviors of somebody who is trying to hurt you, trying to hurt me, trying to hurt people who look like me. And that worries me. It's anti-American.
By the way, I'm sorry, but when you say shit like people who look like me, it like, why are you
Yeah,
like just
no, it's
are
very.
you trolling when you do that? Are you just trying to trigger me so that I'll like
Hey,
should I just ignore you every time you say something
do-
like that? I
well,
feel like
you've asked a lot of questions, and the answer to that last one is probably yes.
okay.
But
I
if
just
you want to be, I don't know, if you have like any kind of intellectual consistency about this, I don't know why the phrase "people who look like me" worries you, because there are still people who look like me in the country. Some would say too many. There's a lot of the phrase Irish twins didn't come
the
from a
reason
low fertility rate.
no, when you say people who look like me, like I'm sorry, but no, I'm not like that granular. I just think white people because that you are white. And I'm not saying that as an insult. I am also white, as you know. Like I don't necessarily care.
What
It's
is
just
your ethnicity?
weird. What?
I don't know. I look at him and I think he can probably hold his liquor.
That's
I don't
yeah,
even I don't know. My ethnicity is like Caucasian, I guess. I have no idea. Like my parents are my mom's American. My dad's family is from Scotland, but his dad was born in Canada. I don't really know exactly
you look
like
Scottish.
where
Nova
they
Scotia?
come from.
Nova
No,
Scotia, Canada?
Ontario.
Oh, okay.
I
If it's Nova
think.
Scotia,
Oh,
Canada, and then they lived in
ooh.
Scotland, then it would probably be Scottish.
I
'Cause
mean,
Nova
well,
Scotia is New
they
Scotland.
they might have, they may have, maybe some of them did live in Scotland. Listen, I don't know. I also don't really care that much. I mean, I might look that up,
It's
or I
okay.
might like look into that later just out of curiosity, but I don't really have like a lot of like, I don't much care about like ethnicity or any of that shit. So
It's fun to bullshit about just
Well,
history and
there's
stuff like
some
that. Like,
really
oh, but they came from this town.
interesting. There's some really interesting history you learn about when you learn about that stuff.
I am
A lot of
interrupting
people don't
you.
realize.
You deserve it for having a conversation not grounded in reality, and both of you should contest the facts you then engage with material on unless you want to continue to be interrupted. The research into lower IQs in Haiti uses a single sample of 200 people, 2/3 of which are children, highly impoverished, uneducated refugees.
that's
And
what
now
I
we are
Oh, go
applying
said.
test
these
the rest
IQs
of
onto
them.
an
Go
entire
test the
nation's
rest of them. That's
demographic.
fine.
Factory work is attractive because tariffs reduce the quantity of other high-paying jobs that are more desirable. Before this, it was coal mines. If there was an increase in jobs and car plants rose, people would work there and so on and so forth. Economic activity does not solely go to other people, because foreign workers are still people engaging in the economy, which means they often engage in banking and create businesses which create jobs, or a company's success leads to expansion or maintenance that creates more jobs.
What if those other jobs also go to more people who are imported? Such as if you had a constant flood, gates are open of an additional million per year. You could fill up a lot of new jobs. I don't know how many jobs you think are becoming available every year, but I think that a million new people could certainly fill up quite a few of them. That seems reasonable to me. And then we have supplemental work visas on top of that, which exist for the purpose of filling up those jobs as well. And again,
Most of
at
what
any
goes
point,
to more people, which goes to anyone from the pool. Hash. Not
to
sure that
anyone from
made.
the pool, not necessarily. See, networking is really important when it comes to getting a job. Even if I laid aside the fact that we're importing people often from racist cultures, and I do believe caste systems are racist. I don't support them. They're definitely anti-American. I don't want to live under a caste system. I don't think that anybody should.
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
agree, but I
immoral.
don't think we're in any danger of living under a caste system. That's like
Yeah,
I
my
think that the people who
contention.
come here en masse and live together and who grew up in a caste system and still hold those beliefs and
Do you
have
have
no outside
do,
pressure to integrate,
do you have
then
any
they
do you have
do
any
still effectively live under a caste system.
do you have any evidence that that's actually happening though? And
Yes, I
by
do. There's several suburbs within Dallas, several communities that are completely housed by people who, well, from India.
no,
Let's just
I'm
say there.
talking about
Frisco, Texas. The demographics of Frisco, Texas, have been completely.
But are they pushing those
I almost said
caste systems
reversed.
onto anybody else?
yeah, I'm talking about the caste system shit. I'm not
If
talking about like demographic changes.
those hold on, the conversation is the same because the caste system doesn't come over unless you have the people for it.
Yeah, but are they
Unless everybody in
exercising
America
it?
said, "Oh man, this is great."
No, but you're assuming that they are
Yes, I am assuming
exercising
that
it.
if you come to the country with a belief and you huddle together with other people who within your own country share these beliefs and you all huddle together and there's no effort to integrate, I assume you would still hold those beliefs.
Yeah, but you don't even know if they did
during
hold
the
those
hold on,
beliefs that
if
strongly.
hold on, I don't
I
have
don't know
to know.
where
That's
you
not
get that.
the
Where do you get
Wait,
that
let me
idea?
just finish this. Let me
Hold
just
on,
finish this.
hold on.
I don't have to know. I do not have to know. I don't have to provide evidence for this. It is a risk assessment because if we were not at war with Nazi Germany during 1945 and a million people from Nazi Germany came over and they all settled in like Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and they did not intermix with the local, I don't know, Jewish population there or any other population there, I would be well within my rights to assume, especially if they were only providing, jobs to other people from Nazi Germany or whatever have you. But on the face of it, I would be well within my rights to assume that they were still holding those beliefs because they were still forming an enclave on American soil. and American soil is anti-enclave. I'm
Okay.
sorry that I'm more American than you. I
Hold on.
believe I
No.
don't support racism.
Well, first of all, okay, two things. First of all, the Nazi Germany example really does not work because that
Really?
no, it
Well, it
doesn't
doesn't work because it's Nazi Germany, and you shouldn't use that in internet
No,
arguments. and
yes,
that
that's
too.
true. But aside from that, it doesn't work because that the beliefs that the Nazis had were not that far off from the beliefs that everybody else had at the time. It's just that they carried them to their logical conclusion.
Believe.
Like what?
Carrying it to the logical conclusion is a massive fucking distinction in belief. Yes.
Yeah, it did, but that's part of what that's part of what led to like the
That is a massive distinction in belief. Like
discrediting, or that's part of what
fuck.
led to like eugenics and all of that shit, for example, starting to like become things
They were
that
Yeah,
more
you're
the
talking about like whether people believe that
were
there
more
were
the ad
inferior racists or
absurdum
whatever have you.
than the logical conclusion.
Yeah, it's when you say logical conclusion, even that's not.
No, what I'm saying is that like
that's wrong.
No, what do you mean it's no, the Nazis.
You're 100%.
No,
Well, the Nazis were definitely wrong. I don't
yes,
know why
they
you're contesting
were.
that. Yeah,
when
no,
I said logical conclusion, I mean that the Nazis took racism to the next level, to where one would expect it to lead, which is kill all the people they considered inferior.
Yeah, but that's not the next level. That's not the logical conclusion. Because everybody else on the planet also believed, and there are many today who still believe this. They don't exist in, well, sadly, they now do exist in America, but they used to not to for a brief time. Sorry, I sidetracked myself. There were lots of people all over the planet, practically everybody on the planet, who believed that certain peoples were inferior in one way or another.
Yes,
on
I
some
know.
metric.
And yes, there are
And they
still
did not. Not only did they all
yes,
engage
I know
in
they
campaigns
didn't.
of
Yes, I'm
extermination,
aware.
which is a difference in ideology that is not.
Yeah, I agree. However, the other problem is that you're assuming that every single
Do not
German
share the beliefs of Americans at all.
You're assuming that every single German like believed in and was
No,
totally A-okay
I'm
with
not.
that.
You keep making this category error when you say, well, if you think that there's a general trend here, then you must believe that it applies to every single person here. And I'm informing you that no, I don't. If I look at a scatter plot and there's a trend downwards or a trend upwards on the racism scale, I don't have to believe that every point on that plot is aligned. In fact, I can see that they're not aligned. I'm just looking at the trend. And the trend is what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about interrogating every individual person's beliefs. I think the only kind of person who would make me do that was trying to get me to accept those racist beliefs.
You just go on, Sonia.
The problem I see, Ash, with your example, like with the enclave thing, is that, for instance, with like Indians who come to America and stay in Indian communities and have kids here and stuff, is that one of the biggest complaints from Indian parents is that their kids get too Americanized and the kids don't have the respect for the traditions that their parents came from. And they're more interested in, when they grow up, they want to do more American-like things, and they don't want to hold to the old traditions, and they're not interested in holding to the caste system. And it's a big complaint. There's a lot of talk about it. I lived in an Indian American community for a long time. That was where I lived in San Jose. Most of my friends in the area were Indian, and their kids were just very Americanized, and it was a big frustration with them. And they would constantly try and reinforce their traditions and everything. The younger generations would be like, "Oh my God, my parents are so obnoxious about this stuff. I don't know why they keep trying to push it on me."
Yeah, no, and listen, I could make the argument. I think it would be bad faith if I did this. I could make the argument that like, well, they're up to the Indian parent standards, which are fundamentally alien to America in just every conceivable way. Sure, they see it as like as their kids are backsliding. But in point of fact, they're still pretty alien to America. But I can't even make that argument because I've seen it. I don't know. I've
kind of
seen
a
what you're
good argument.
describing.
It's kind of a good argument for how strong American culture is. The fact that, we rub off on the kids that are raised here and they end up becoming way more Americanized and look at their parents' culture as being alien and weird and
America does a really good job of integrating people, integrating immigrants.
Belinda made that argument earlier, by the way, which was
but
excellent.
but
correct.
Sonia did it with an example, which I think helps, like an example about like Indian immigrants specifically, and I think that is generally helpful. And I think that like really, I think that that's what matters. Also, by the way, you know what?
To you both.
You could deal with, like, I don't like enclaves either, and I think that not having them helps with integration. And you know what? It's possible to like not have them to some degree or another, or incentivize them not existing through policy rather than saying let's not have more immigrants.
I totally agree. We're going to look at these companies that hire, in which these ethnic enclaves appear to be forming.
White people into Indian communities.
We are literally going to send in the National Guard. We are going to your school. We're joining the Diwali festival.
I mean, you don't have to do it like that. You can just
one of those tunics. I don't know. I do have to. I want the fucking tunic.
I still celebrate Diwali, and I've been to many Diwali parties and celebrations.
It's fun. We just need more holidays and parties. Like there's
but
like,
never
a bad time to have more.
You can find different ways to deal with like the like you could find different ways to deal with enclaves without like being too forceful from the government, like just with like incentives and whatnot.
If I was a racist or if I was covering for them, here in America, we send in the National Guard when people are being racist, even if it's not like explicit or whatever have you. We look at the outcomes, and if the outcomes are different, if we're not seeing enough people in these places, if we're not seeing enough ethnic parity, we send in the fucking National Guard. Are you
talking about Brown v. Board of Education? Because that's the only thing that I can think of when Eisenhower sent in the was it the National Guard to make in order to integrate that school? Yeah. I mean, that's you're talking about an institution.
And it was I hope you're not fucking opposing that.
No, I'm not. That was a good idea, but that's a little bit different than like forcing people to live in certain places.
Racism is not okay. It doesn't matter what the context is at the time.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
I'm a little sick of how much cover you run for these people.
Oh, okay. All right, then. You know what? In that case, I hope that...
seem like you're dog whistling.
No, I'm not. In that case, I hope that you're okay with me outlawing all white clubs and mandating that every company has like some black people on its board. Like, it sounds like you're arguing for DEI now.
How will I know that it's over? We already have that. Oh, not the all white club. Apparently, we have all.
Well, I mean,
go to an all-white club.
I think
by the way,
explain to me what the purpose of that is.
I think don't those still exist? I don't think that they're illegal.
Okay, I'm noticing
a pattern. I'm noticing a pattern with things you've been posting, Aika. Before you post anything that goes TTS, Kalinda, do you allow people to say the R word on your stream?
I don't care. Oh, you mean retard?
Okay.
Yes, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just
making sure. In case
that's what I was going to say about Haitians earlier.
Don't say any slurs though. Like.
Don't make slurs. They're gross.
Just wanted to. Because I know you're a little more left wing than a lot of people. On the stream.
Listen, I'm a Loner Box mod and a Loner Box viewer, and he says and also I'm a liberal.
He gives that hard R all the time.
Well, he says that was a good Linus Tech Tips reference there. unless some other people have used the hard R in that way, but I feel like he's the only one. But
the liberal.
Yes, I'm a liberal. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a socialist or a communist. I hate those people. Yes.
Not enough.
Okay.
No, I hate them pretty hard.
Cover for them when they're being racist.
Good to know. I wasn't sure.
Right.
I thought you were like a little more left wing than like what we normally encounter. So I just wanted to make sure since
No,
she
I'm
had posted the R word many times, and I was like, okay, before we continue, can we
no,
just
it's
get a
fine.
check here?
No, I'm pretty solidly liberal, I would say. I
All
mean,
right.
I think you're progressive from most of my interactions with you, but that could be my. That could be my.
I think that's probably because that you are a right winger and you guys have a tendency to conflate like people on the left with our most extreme factions. Although, in fairness, people on the left do the same thing with people on the right. So
I mean, you guys do that with your. You do the opposite with your own people to sneak them through. But remember, McCarthy was correct. There were communists all over the State Department, had infiltrated it. FDR was a socialist at the very least, not quite a communist, but
I
so
would
there's a history of these things.
no, I don't think FDR was a socialist unless you think
He
socialism
was
is when the
100.
government does stuff.
When the government does stuff, yeah, it's very cute.
No, but that's not what socialism means. Like, actually, that's not what it
Yeah,
is.
I know it's not what socialism means, and you know it's what's not what so. The important thing is that you know that I know it's not what
there are-
socialism means.
There are social programs, and then there is socialism.
Yeah.
Socialism is a whole
Yeah,
system.
massive redistribution, the creation of massive.
I would say that
welfare
FDR was
states,
a
the
liberal
elimination of-
and that the New Deal
No,
was
he was not a liberal.
I would okay, yeah, I know.
There's absolutely
I feel
no,
like-
no. The market. Hold on. FDR was anti-market with every single policy he had. He further contributed to the destruction of healthcare lodges. He ruled Wickard v. Filburn, allowing Congress to regulate all commerce within states by saying that it would affect
He was
interstate
seen as like
commerce.
the regulation king at the time.
I
so
feel like
that's
I
what-
feel
was
like you and I have
in
all the
his
early
day, he was
regulations
100% a socialist.
I feel
even
like-
if we don't consider him that today.
I feel like you and I have
He-
a very different definition of the term liberal, as came up in the last time that I was on the WIC panel with you, and you described yourself as a liberal when you strike me very much as a conservative, at least based on things that you've said so
Well-
far. But yeah.
Yeah, well, liberals used to be
Well,
anti-immigration. Was the
in
crazy
the
thing because it
1970s
because it was used for the
for-
abuse of their workers. Sorry,
In
go
the
ahead, Tony.
1970s push for deregulation, what they called it at the time was that they were trying to roll back all the FDR era regulation because he was considered to be like the regulation king, and that all the regulation that they had been dealing with at the time the claim was had tied the hands of corporate America was his doing, or under his administration, or under his vision. So he was a very heavy regulation, right? So
Completely
typically,
changed
when
the
you're
nature of
talking
healthcare
about
in the country and
liberals,
flipped it on its head.
typically when you're talking about liberals, you're talking about the keyword there being liberty and allowing for freedom of action and freedom of choice, of being able to self-actualize and such. So he was kind of at the time seen as sort of like an enemy of liberty in terms of like
Yes,
being a
I know.
capitalist, being able to do what you want to do, being able to make your
Yeah,
own money.
Republicans called
however
him
you want.
socialist. Yes, I remember that. Yes.
So
Lots of
lot
other
of
people
people-
did too, and they suffered for it because their businesses were regulated or their private practices were regulated out of existence. And and by the way, I know that you did mention caring about the Constitution earlier. How do you feel about the declaration that Congress should only be interfering with interstate commerce, and that the within the state Congress principally shouldn't have any authority, shouldn't be exercising its authority?
Okay, I mean, this is going to get interesting because and I feel like this is going to probably be my most controversial take, at least to you, and you're going to get super mad when I say this, but like it actually triggers the fuck out of me that the United
Do you
States.
want me to gin up my anger first?
if you want to. It triggers the fuck out of me that the United States
I
does
charge
not
up.
have anything in the Constitution that guarantees equal rights for all citizens, like the Equal Rights Amendment, which I think would have been cool to have. Whereas in Canada here we have like the we've got like a human rights charter, and yes, I know that like people have
Wait a
abused it or
second, you're
whatever.
Canadian? How did I miss that earlier?
Yeah, I am, but my mom's American.
That does piss me off.
I think I'm entitled to U.S. citizenship. I just haven't filled out the paperwork and
You
paid the
shouldn't
money.
be, unless you quit your racism. There's
What?
covering for racism. I think that you can be redeemed.
I'm not
You
fucking.
gotta stop covering for it, though.
And
I know
it's
that was my
interesting,
misstep.
though.
You do cover for it.
I
Um,
think that you're being a nice meme, buddy.
Ica has another big old chunk of.
Oh right, yes, we
text.
should. We need
Oh, I
to.
have to read this. I saw Italians and rape. Let me put this here. I'm gonna send this to my buddy Gio, and you can all guess what race he is. Ash is
The-
advocating for ideological protectionism for an America which was raped by filthy mafioso criminal alcoholic Italians and their third worldist Irish peers.
No,
All the
it was we
reduction
the
of
Irish were the
immigration
alcoholics,
does.
not the Italians.
The yeah, we were. I mean, we were a little bit of both.
Yeah.
How we bred so much. Not the rape, just the alcohol.
I come from a long line of proud Irish alcoholics.
Right? This is ridiculous. All
Yeah.
the reduction of immigration does is enforce currently existing ethnic blocks because America is a nation founded on immigrants. Neither of these blocks that I mentioned destroyed America because American culture, film, media is dominant. Irish do control the media, that's true. We kicked the Jews out.
The Hiberian question.
The
The Hibernian question, yeah.
The
That
Hibernian
was a good
question
one.
is that yes.
Yeah.
Hibernian
Yeah.
and Hiberia.
Yeah.
Hyperborea is like a Conan or something,
Yeah.
which we also took, but we didn't let anybody in on the secret. And then we got too drunk and forgot where it was.
Damn
Um,
it. He doesn't know
it's
the
interesting because there was an interesting period of the shift. It's actually around the 70s and 80s of like what liberal meant and what conservative meant, because liberal overall was like very like okay with charging forward with new industry, innovation, capitalism, change, right?
Enlightenment
Uh,
principles.
I'm okay with capitalism, by the way. I'm
Yeah,
not
very much,
anti-capitalist. I just want it to be regulated.
Your boy FDR
Yeah.
was.
and very much American Enlightenment principles. But conservatives kind of shifted at one point and kind of bited up more with like capitalist America during the deregulation push of the 70s. And so that was when things started to shift, and when you started to see Republicans and conservatives who normally were more constrained and wanted to maintain older industry and not dive into newer industry and cared about conserving and holding to older values, expand into capitalist empires and newer business and such, and work alongside capitalist interests more. So that actually all shifted around the time of the 70s. And
By
that
the
was
way-
when conservatism started getting married with capitalism.
I just want to say that like I do
Which they were
think
terrible
that
at.
I just want to say that I do think that like I think FDR is like I would argue that as a result of stuff like the New Deal and the fact that he was willing to end like the compromise and unions and all that stuff, I think that that stuff arguably was very helpful in a bunch of workers not becoming socialists because that
He ended unions, and they did become socialist. He ended healthcare lodges, which were already on their way out on account of regulation from, once again, socialists
wait, what do you mean he
and
ended
protectionists.
unions?
I said he ended okay, sorry, I should have said some unions. Before unions were a distinct entity, there used to be a lot of lodges and fraternities and sororities where people would group together and they would pay for things like healthcare for each other. They would have doctors on retainer. You could have physician-owned hospitals and things like that. I believe even today you still can't have physician-owned hospitals, which insane. The AMA, I believe, will end your career if you try to do a healthcare lodge, and I think at this point it's just illegal writ large. But yeah, so there used to be these free associations of people
Yeah, but
paying very
that's
little money
okay.
to
Hold on.
have a doctor on retainer for a group of people.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things
Yeah,
like workers.
because it contradicts your opinion.
No, I'm talking about things like workers' rights. That's what I was talking about initially when I said unions.
The right to have a doctor on retainer.
I'm
if you
talking-
get rid of the right to have, hold on, no. If you get rid of the right to have a doctor on retainer, that's anti-workers' rights. You understand?
I'm talking about the relationship between the worker and the corporation that they work for, and things like how many hours they have to work and how much they get paid, and worker
the
safety and shit like that.
hold
I'm
on,
not
the
talking
working-
about other
the
stuff that
working
you're
week-
talking about. And the
I know the
work
working week, the work week, and the number of people, the number of hours that you would work in a given week was a function of labor getting easier. It wasn't a function of FDR. FDR codified something that was already a general trend.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, he still codified that, right? Like that was part of the New Deal.
Yeah, you don't get credit for codifying it if you also if it's
he
just
wasn't-
codifying it and
he
you
wasn't-
don't also annihilate workers' rights and in other ways, then sure, maybe I'll give
wasn't-
it to you because it doesn't cost
wasn't
me
even
anything. But he did.
He wasn't even
He did annihilate workers' rights.
He wasn't
By
the only
way,
one
he
who did
completely
that.
Fucked up the healthcare industry.
Yeah, I
He
understand that you're
fucked up the
completely
healthcare
obsessed
industry.
with the
No,
healthcare
I'm gonna go
lodge
to another. I'm going to
thing.
go to a different one. Employer healthcare completely like took something that was already fucked and turned it into. Well,
Well, they
I
didn't
gotta be
have
careful.
employer
I was about to
healthcare
say
back
a
then.
slave class, but I'm
They
not
didn't
going to
have
go that far.
employer
Let's
healthcare
keep-
back then.
I feel like you
At
are
the time.
stretching. No, you're just stretching what I was talking about. You must have known what I meant when I said unions originally, right? Like, what the hell else would I be meaning? And you just took that and then turned it into, well, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to rant angrily about how much I hate FDR for what he did to American healthcare.
Hold on, because what preceded unions was a marriage of what we now know as unions and social support groups that took care of people's health care. And I mentioned the healthcare over and over because one, it's a pretty big fight in America. I think it's like what 1/6 of all American economic activity, pretty important. It was the beginning of employer healthcare because as a result, I don't know if it was during the New Deal or as a result of the New Deal, but it was declared that you could just kind of like write off like healthcare that you provided for your employees. So instantaneously, we start like doubling up the number of customers for healthcare within the United States. And then on top of that, if your healthcare is dependent on your employer, then you're kind of in a slave class situation. Especially as your wages get depressed.
Okay.
As time goes
yeah,
on,
that's
really,
fine, but that's
really
not
bad.
that's not what I
No,
was
it's
talking
not fine.
about.
That's
I'm not
anti-workers'
saying
rights.
I'm not
I know that
saying
you're
that
not
that's
talking
fine,
about
but that was
because
never the point
Okay,
that I was
sorry.
trying to make, and it feels like you are
No, I
dragging
understand.
that in because that's what you just want to talk about. I think that is
because
like
I disagree with your. Hold on, I brought that in because I view things like whether or not you're able to enter into agreements, private contracts with other people as being fairly important for the question of workers' rights, and then also the benefits that are available to workers writ large. I think those are also important to workers' rights. So when you say I think that FDR was great on workers' rights, I'm bringing up
I'm saying that
I'm just bringing up contradicting evidence, right? And you can reject it or
okay,
whatever.
that's
I'm sorry,
fine. You're bringing up one particular
clear
thing, but I'm just saying that like that
pretty
doesn't
big thing.
that doesn't negate my point. Well, I mean, the thing is
Okay.
that honestly, I would argue that I mean, I think that I like my healthcare, but I don't know if I want to have a healthcare debate with you or whatever, because the reason why healthcare in the United States is so fucked is honestly pretty complicated, and it's not just one single thing. It's not
It
just
is.
No, it's
Agreed.
oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
don't care
there's
about like a foreigner's opinion on it at this point because
well, no, it's not. I mean, my opinion on this mostly comes from what Americans have said, not because I'm Canadian
Right.
or whatever. Like, yeah,
I don't think
it's
that,
just,
but Americans don't know, so they're definitely not going to give you.
no, I
strict
mean,
fair follow.
I mean that there was like, my understanding
She-
is that your fucking
This is my Douglas
system
Murray moment.
is incredibly
Have
fucking
you never been?
complicated. Okay.
It is. That's true.
And
And
as
Ash, when you
such,
say that,
I have to
Oh, go
believe
ahead.
that as such, it's very likely that there's a bunch of reasons why it's so fucked. And it's not just one thing like the evil healthcare companies or any of that crap. Because that I'm
Oh yeah, I mean there are a bunch of them, but like there's also a bunch of evil hospitals. There's evil regulators.
I
There's a lot of evil people here.
I'm
We gotta get
pretty
rid of them.
basically I'm pretty anti-populist, okay? And so like I'm generally going to be distrustful if somebody says, "Well, this thing is the solution to this problem is very simple." There are obviously some exceptions to this, but for
I
the
would
most
never say
part,
that.
yeah, it's not that's not the case.
There's a lot of complicating. You think that those trains ran on time in a day?
But I mean, I think that a public option would be nice, but you probably don't agree with that because I assume that you are in favor of small government or some shit. I don't know.
I
Also,
mean, I
sorry, wait.
I have a different view of like a public option.
Bef-
That's what I'll say.
Before we continue, I just want to ask a question. Does anybody know a mod in here who can like let my friend into this server?
Normally, you got to use the invites that are on the videos, the YouTube videos, or the stream pods.
Oh, okay, because I made an invite like from the server settings here and sent it to him. Is that not?
It might work. I don't know.
I
They
mean,
might
he
need
no,
to go
he
through.
he got in. It's just he says he can't talk in the server. I don't really know. Like,
He needs to wait a little bit, I think, in order to talk.
There's
Sure.
a verification process, maybe, or maybe they've got to go through a certain period of time before they have access to the VCs.
Has Zyko written any more fan fiction about me?
Yeah, apparently
obsessed
you're
with
obsessed with
healthcare?
getting into an asylum or something.
oh yes.
Interesting.
Okay, honestly, yeah, you guys
Are
keep
you
going
going to
with.
be my nurse?
Wait, is who gonna be? Oh, Aika.
I mean, I assume that's what this is.
Aika is 17. You fucking weird. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I don't actually know how old Aika is now.
Ika's 18.
Oh man,
Uh-oh.
the pit in my stomach.
Yeah, very recently 18.
Rose, get in here.
Oh my god. Okay. No, I'll be right back. I need to feed the cat because he is starting to insistently get angry, and yes. But
We won't
Give him
say
a hug
anything
for
terrible.
me.
oh yeah, I will. I'm sure he'll come back, and he's a sweetie. I don't know. Like, what is how the hell do you have to like agree to something? Do you have to react to the rules? Somebody ask Wick or something. I'll be right back.
Ask
I think that there is,
Tenflix
like,
or Kamikaze, one of them. Whichever one is active in general chat.
Announcements. Is there like oh wait. There's a thing that's like 18. No, it's not 1800. Fuck. I feel like there's like a rules channel somewhere around here. I think you do have to react to something.
I'm too lazy to look at it. I've got a cat that I'm petting. That's more important right now.
Oh, it's in there is a rules section. Welcome.
My day is sparkly. Yes, Ika. I have a kitty in my lap and I'm petting him and he's purring. Couldn't get more sparkly than that.
The spot for support tickets.
I think the rules channel you don't see anymore once you're authorized. Like once you get to see it when you first go in, and then once you've verified, you don't see it anymore. I don't remember how it works though. They may have the internet.
You will need to Wick react to this post to be given access to the server. So it's still there. It's just I mute the welcome category. It's under the welcome category.
There we go.
So
Okay.
if you're listening, or
You
pull the
need to
Hassan
click
chair.
on the Wick emoji below the text in the welcome channel. Follow the rules, and you'll get access to the server.
Hello.
So tell your friend that they have to click on the wick emote below the text in the welcome channel, and that'll grant them access to the rest of the server.
Oh, okay. Welcome channel. Oh, you mean the rules?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we could also just go to my server, but I need more conservatives in there. Although we mostly just talk about
I
Israel
can't help you with that.
Palestine.
I'm definitely with that.
Oh, you don't have enough conservatives in your server?
I just don't want it to be a circle jerk, you know. I want crazy leftists and I want conservatives. Really, the only place where I'm going to draw the line is like people who engage in atrocity denial. But otherwise, I'm basically going to be like a sort of anything goes kind of thing.
Yeah, we had a good mix in my server, but after I stopped streaming and then took a break from Discord for nearly 2 years, it really died off. But yeah, we had a really big mix of conservative, liberal, left wing, right wing. We had some people who were on the more fringes as well.
Yeah.
Had some wild cards in there.
Okay, hold on a second. Are you sure you're not a conservative, Ash? Did you vote for Donald
Very
Trump?
fucking sure.
Did you vote for Trump?
No.
Did you vote for Kamala?
Are you fucking? What the fuck do you think I am?
Okay, so did you just not vote?
Also, no. I understand that was a tortured way of going about it. I don't know why you was doing. I don't think I've said anything in support of Kamala. But process of elimination.
Wait,
I think it's fair to say that Ash holds a fair number of conservative values, but isn't necessarily a conservative.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Is there anything that you wanted to like interrogate about my beliefs that like I kind of bulldozed over, or anything that you would like to interrogate now?
If you were to label yourself, how would you?
Four corners centrist. My political beliefs are on the perimeter. That seems like a funny and provocative way of describing it. Oh, I'm leaning back too far.
Are you an
You like all these
isolationist?
I don't know. It doesn't sound very.
That's a
centrist to
slur
me.
for
I don't
people
know.
who don't want to give you money.
Anyways.
Give me money? I'm not asking for your money.
The royal you. Well, you're
Oh.
Canadian. You're always asking for money.
No, but I
For
would
that
like
fake politeness.
Hey, listen. If you keep going with that, buddy, you'll find out if
Canadians
you guys...
are not actually polite. It was proven in a study. Eat shit, you have nothing. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I know you
I'm
are.
sure some of them I assume are good people.
I was about to make a war crimes joke, but anyway.
Oh, you
should have. You should. Oh my god, that would have been
Listen,
fantastic.
okay, yeah, we call it the Geneva checklist, not the Geneva Convention. Okay. Yeah. And we call it that because it's a checklist that was created because of us and the shit that we did in World War. Okay. Yeah.
That was pretty based.
I mean, if Canada invades America, I'm just saying, but if trying to make us your 51st state or some shit. No, but like, for example, this is actually something that I do feel quite strongly about. How do you feel about Ukraine? One day I will debate Lactroid about this.
Yeah, no, that seems
Good luck
exciting.
with that.
He asked me about that earlier too. Shoot, so I think that Russia versus Ukraine is. No, I'm not going to drop that reference. I do think that it's kind of like a civil war between Kiev and Moscow. I am inclined to I'm inclined to support Ukraine in that instance because, if we're going to move into hot wars, then I prefer people who are closer oriented towards NATO allies, and mostly just as a buffer between states that I care more about. Like, I have friends in Estonia, for instance.
Okay. By the way, it's only a civil war in so much as, I mean, it's not a civil war at all, but you could only call it a civil war because the Russia spent so much time beating down any semblance of Ukrainian nationalism and Ukrainian culture when they were ruling Ukraine, either during the Soviet Union and before that. And now they're basically doing
that would
it
fit
again.
in with the civil. Hold on, that would fit in with the Civil War. I think that would be a pretty moral justification for something like a civil war.
Yeah, but it's not really a civil war though, because by that point, because like by the time it happened, Ukraine was its own country. It's more like Ukraine
If
was
it's
a
that
colony
specific-
of Russia,
Okay.
and they were trying to get the fuck out.
A war of independence, then. That's sure.
I mean, yeah, I feel like you could in a way call it that because they are trying to move away from Russia, and Russia got mad about it, and that's part of the reason why like Putin invaded. Or at least I would argue it's a big reason. Although, of course, Laktroy won't tell you that because he believes in a bunch of weird ass conspiracy theories about Euromaidan and Eastern Ukraine, and how it was actually a coup that the United States fermented or some shit. Which I have
We
to.
definitely sent in a ton of money to those people, and we regularly engaged in that behavior in Latin America.
I mean, yeah, but it wasn't.
Unless you
not
think all those revolutions were like just completely
No,
fucking
not.
spontaneous.
Yes, during the Cold War, the United States engaged in that behavior a lot. But the United States did not do Euromaidan or whatever. The United States gave money to and it was like a few $1 million. The United States gave money to democracy stuff in Ukraine. Yeah, but no, I mean like in the 90s they started doing it, and Euromaidan happened in 2014. Is what I'm saying. It was not.
Yeah, it would again not a few $1 million, and a few $1 million went pretty far back in the 90s. But I get your point. Like it's not. Like you can't really draw.
There's no evidence.
A line of causality between these two. The evidence is the money going to Ukraine, and then there being this shift in the electorate. That is evidence. You could say it's circumstantial.
No, it's not.
You cannot dismiss. Hold on, that is evidence. If I see you at just outside the scene of a murder, and I know that you own a firearm which matches the caliber of what was used in the murder, that is evidence. It is not enough to convict you. It's not enough to even say that you were the only suspect or anything. It is evidence. I think a lot of people are really confused about this word for some reason. Maybe
I think
it benefits them personally.
Yeah, no, I think it's because
it is evidence.
I think it's because that you're quibbling. Like if I were to grant you that it's
evidence,
no,
it's not
incredibly
quibbling.
Weak evidence. No, you're being like
you could say it's incredibly weak. It's not. It's justification for further examining what these people are on about. Again, this point that I've already granted
I
you.
have examined it. I just
maybe if I phrase it like that, it's going to.
No,
the United States has continued engaging in nation building and never stopped. So, if a bunch of money goes to a place and we see a rapid shift in the electorate.
But there wasn't a rapid shift in the electorate, though. What do you mean? Ukraine declared its independence. They voted to leave the Soviet Union. They wanted out.
Yeah, so the rapid shift in its electorate.
And this happened before America gave them money.
Yes, no, I'm not claiming that Ukraine didn't have its independence. Like Estonia is not Russia. They should be independent from Russia. They wanted to be independent from Russia. They are now independent from Russia. They should remain independent from Russia, for instance. For Ukraine. However, the shift in the electorate was not in whether they were pro-Russia or anti-Russia. The shift in the electorate was things like, hey, let's tear up the Sevastopol lease. Which is like pretty aggressive, not quite military action.
I don't even think that they
pretty
did,
aggressive
though.
Posturing. They threatened. That's right, because Putin took Crimea immediately in the aftermath of that threat.
I mean, I don't even think that they even like Putin took Crimea because he was afraid that they were going to do that. But I don't even think that
Why was he afraid that they were going to?
That they actually tore
because my claim is not that they actually tore it up.
No. I don't even know if
they were threatening to.
I don't even know if they were threatening.
You don't know if they're threatening to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, that like there's a whole bunch of shit that I have to deep dive into with regards to that. But I mean, like, maybe like there's
plenty of disinformation on it. I could have gotten taken for a ride.
To be honest with you, I think I wait. All right, so is what you just said disinformation? Because from what I know, like they didn't even necessarily threaten. Although it wouldn't surprise me if like maybe some Ukrainian politicians said something about maybe how like maybe we should do that or whatever. But
No,
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I don't know this for a fact. Like, I'm not a scholar on Russia, Ukraine. I have general principles on this stuff. Like, I support independence, nationalism, and things like that. So, people want to be independent from a wider state. If Catalonia wants to separate from from Spain so that they can have their own stop signs and only Catalonian spelled and marked exactly the same as Spanish, then sure, that's totally fine. The general principle of independence, and that goes for Ukraine as well.
yeah. Well, I
Were
mean, it
you
sounds like go on, Sonia.
so you were wanting to debate Lactoid on it, and Lactoid is definitely more well versed on the whole subject. But have you tried to debate him on it before?
What on the I mean, I did mention it to him, but like I said, I got to do a bunch of research on that because Lactoid is deep in the conspiracy hole. Lactoid doesn't even think Putin's a dictator. Okay.
So I'm for I've talked to Lactoid about this before, and just from what I've talked to him about, I don't think, even though I disagree with his position, I don't think he's that harebrained with the way that he's approaching it. There are some things where I think he goes too far, like for instance with the coup stuff. I don't think that there's enough information to justify his position that there was a US backed coup. But a lot of his reasoning is actually not all that harebrained. I just think that he comes to the wrong conclusions. But he and I have talked about it. He's not too out there with it. So
I
I
mean,
think if you
he's
have a
probably
conversation
not.
with him, you'll probably have a pretty good conversation. It's not going to be all conspiracy rabbit hole kind of stuff.
Okay, I hope not. I feel like, listen, I watched his conversation with Lonerbox and Dylan about this, and also the debate panel that he was on with Dylan and Ukrainian Anna, and I think like one other person where it seemed like all he wanted to do was talk about Euromaidan. And he also kept trying to go there in the discussion with Dylan and Loner, and they just kind of were like, no, probably because that they, or at least I feel like Dylan's probably sick of talking about Euromaidan conspiracy theories at this point.
I feel like it's really dishonest to just reject these as conspiracy theories when the U.S. has a history of nation building and interfering in the
I
affairs of every country on planet Earth.
here's my problem with this,
Like
okay?
it's not good. It's intellectually dishonest. I think it might. You've been nice and genial towards me in this conversation, even though I'm rage baiting all the time and stuff. I dare say I think that's beneath you.
I mean, you really don't think
I,
that there's a whole bunch of conspiracy theories surrounding Euromaidan though. Like there's a
yes,
whole
yes,
bunch
and
of
you can
shit.
dismiss anything as a conspiracy theory, but you could also just do the research on it,
Well, no, I
pitch
mean,
why you're competing, pitch a
I
comparing theory, and not reject people who have pretty clear and consistent evidence for, at the very least, grounds for suspicion. It's inappropriate, I think. You asked me if I was an isolationist earlier, right?
yeah, I did. I wasn't trying to use that as a smear. I would argue like basically, do you think that
I
America
think
should
everybody does.
stay out of the rest of the world?
Yeah, well, then an isolationist is somebody who is contrary to your beliefs there, and again, I look at these as mostly just painting targets. When I think about money to Israel and where I might want that money to go instead of Israel, or if I really want to do another forever war in Iraq or Afghanistan or anywhere in the region, I don't think I'm an isolationist. I think I just disagree with the policy proposal put forward. And I think until somebody gives me a different policy proposal, or they successfully disenfranchise me because they've called me anti-American, they say this guy's not eating
Okay,
freedom fries, he's eating French fries. Like that's
no one's gonna disenfranchise you, dude. But anyway,
disenfranchising. I think that's smearing people as conspiracy theorists for like simple, like, hey, I don't think that this will benefit me. I think if you immediately attack that person as
Yeah, but I
conspiracy
don't.
theorist or
No,
isolationist, I'm not saying you're doing that now. I'm not saying you're doing that now.
Yeah,
To be
but that's
clear. You're
not.
not doing that now.
That's not Lactoid's. I don't think Lactoid's position is that he's like against America giving money to Ukraine because that he is because that he's isolationist. It feels like his position is that he's against it because that he thinks that Russia has a right to invade Ukraine. Maybe maybe I'm strawmanning when I say that, but I mean, goddamn, the dude comes off as a fucking Russian shill.
Well,
He's
there it is again. It's like he's getting paid for it.
His position is more. I hate to use the word because I know it's used way too much, but his position is more nuanced than that. I don't want to like speak for him, because it's his position, but you should definitely have a conversation with him. I'd say, have the conversation.
I will. Like I said, I just
gotta have to be like an all-out debate. You could just have the initial conversation just to see where his position is, and then say, I just want to like learn where your position is, and then I'll dig in and do some research, and then we can have a debate about it.
Okay. Well, I mean, most of my impressions came from like watching him have that discussion on, and I also watched part of Wick's debate with him, where like, no offense to Wick, I feel like Wick wasn't necessarily prepared for that debate. But yeah, like a lot of Lactoid's views on the. Okay, never mind. I don't want to talk about I don't want to like have a conversation about Lactoid. Let's okay, Ash.
Here's a quick question. Here's a quick question, Ash. Have you been in any of the conversations I've had with Lactoid where he was going in on his thoughts on Russia versus Ukraine?
I think so, because he asked me. It was right after the panel we had with Kalinda. Actually, I don't know if I was there for the entire thing, but he did briefly ask me about my opinion, and we got started there. I was there for another debate with Jevtan as well. In chat.
And so you heard I don't know how much of the conversation you heard between him and me with the whole thing, but it wasn't like conspiracy rabbit hole stuff, right? From your perspective?
No, not at all. It's really standard, like, we're not even getting into territory of, hey, the people will call me a conspiracy theorist for listing out shit the CIA has admitted to and is published on their website. Like, we're not even getting that deep under. It's just like...
It was like all stuff I could engage with. And I'm not that deep on it. So I didn't do any research or anything beforehand.
Can I just throw something out there? Okay, here's my problem. I feel like every time like you're talking about the Latin America stuff or other such things, it feels like you are hearkening back to shit that America regularly got up to in the Cold War, as if the United States is still running around and engaging in coups throughout the world in the same way as they did during the Cold War in the name of stopping communism. I am 28 years old.
The Great War on Terror was, I believe, started when I turned 5.
Yes. I know. Although I would argue that
Yemen.
Is
intervention in Sudan.
Yeah, I'm not saying that
strategy.
I'm
the
not
5-year plan all took place within my teens and 20s.
Yes, I know.
These are recent events that had catastrophic effects across the fucking
I'm aware, but that's not the same thing as the kind of shit that I'm talking about.
Right, but it's not the...
He's talking about the
maneuvering. On that.
She's talking about the maneuvering behind the scenes, going
yes,
and
that's correct.
And buying
we absolutely fucking still did that. As recently as 2000,
we did that in
NATO, for instance. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We did that with what's his name, the dictator of
Gaddafi.
Yeah, Gaddafi. Yeah, we did that with Gaddafi. We funded the rebels, and we did that in
Syria.
Syria.
No,
we were more transparent about.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like I should differentiate here. I think part of the thing is that like the United.
I jumped in too quickly. I'm sorry.
Yes, the United States is not. First of all, you're talking
about
them
covert stuff. You're talking about.
Yes,
though,
I
right?
am. I'm talking about like basically like doing coups, which isn't necessarily the same as like giving money to groups who are on one side of a civil war or whatever in the name of spreading democracy or something. Like
I mean that's what a coup is. You had me in the first half.
Well, no, she's got a good point. She's got a good point.
I'm just saying that it feels like
that we dropped on these countries, the military strikes.
She's talking about the covert overturning of governments.
Yeah, I'm talking about the kind of the kind of Cold War CIA shit. Now when America interferes like that, there's so much more out in the open about it. Like
All right.
actually, no,
I
they
f- I f- I-
are.
We were
Yeah,
suspected
no,
of doing
I
it to
agree.
Haiti, and we were suspected of doing it to Haiti in 2009 or
Yeah, but is
so.
there evidence
Or-
of that? Like everybody also said that that they did it to what was his name? The guy in was it Brazil, or there was some Latin American country, and there wasn't really any evidence for it. It was actually, it looked like it was just a regular old military coup, and the person who came in
Yeah.
afterwards then got voted out.
Yeah, we've mostly been out of that business for a long time now.
Yeah, that's
But
what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about like the war on terror was pretty, that was pretty out in the open. And I mean, I even think that the funding of like rebels and stuff, a lot of that stuff was pretty out in the open. Or if it wasn't, it came
I don't
out
think that
pretty
the average
quickly
American knew that
afterwards.
the same people who flew towers into planes. There we go. I should just quit now. It's gonna be 48 hours before I finally fall to fucking sleep, and I'll just be even more of a drooling mess.
Can't
Ash, you need a
relate.
cat. You need a cat. Cats will get you to sleep ASAP.
He has a
He's
cat.
around here,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
he's
right.
like
You do have a
hovering
cat.
around
What's
the
your
outside
excuse?
of the door.
You
He's
guys,
like
Cats
running
will make
away
you go
every
to sleep
time.
instantly.
I just spent the past 2 hours looking for photos to make a collage.
Blast.
What? By the way, I'm streaming
Oh,
right now,
who
so
does-
please don't be weird.
The fact that you think I'm weird, of all people, with my profile picture is just
No,
well,
I
weird.
don't think there's anything weird about your profile picture. You just came in here with this strange non sequitur that has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about.
Which you weren't aware of the stream, so that's totally reasonable. That's totally
Yes, you
understandable.
weren't. I just don't know what
Yeah,
we're having
listen. When we're talking about
No
coups,
internet etiquette.
when we're talking about coups, the U.S. does continue to do it. Yes, they do it in slightly different ways. The American people was not aware. There was no referendum held. Hey, the people who blew up the Twin Towers, we're going to put them in charge of the country. Maybe more than one country.
Wait, what?
The American people would not have voted in favor of this.
Which country?
All right, so I think that if we're gonna play this definition game or the ignorance game, this I don't want to change the tone of the conversation. It's getting a little tiresome. Are you unawares of which rebel groups we've been funding in the Middle East?
Are you talking
Is it
about Syria?
Is it a matter of ignorance?
No,
Or-
no. You have to. Listen, I'm not completely up on all the shit that you're. Are you talking about Syria? Because it sounds like you're talking about Syria. Is that what you're doing? Are you pulling the
Is it
HTS is
Syria,
Al
or am I talking
Qaeda
about
and the United States should?
Is
and,
it Al Qaeda?
No,
Is it
they're
not
not
Al-Qaeda?
Al Qaeda. No, it's not Al Qaeda. They fought with
Interesting.
Al Qaeda.
They
Well,
fought with a lot
the-
of people.
Ahmed
And they
al
might have been a splinter
Shara
group.
broke
And we
with
did-
Al Qaeda and ISIS, and he fought with them. He is not ISIS or Al Qaeda anymore.
I think
And
the problem that Ash is going to get at here, this is my guess, I'm kind of mind reading you, is that the people that we fund often will break off of groups and then join other groups. And then, so effectively, we've funded and trained people
Yeah,
who then
sometimes
became
it.
part of a terrorist group.
Yeah, it backfires. Yes. Sometimes the United States stuff does backfire, but the United States did not say.
They used to be
hey,
called the Mujahideen, by the way, the brave Mujahideen fighters of Afghanistan, before we called them something else.
No,
But
you're talking
in
about
many
the
cases,
Taliban. They largely
Still
became
the same people.
the Taliban.
Yes, the Taliban. That's right, the Taliban.
Okay, well the
A
Taliban
different
isn't the
name
Taliban
for the
and
same people who we were then engaged in a military affair with.
the Taliban and Al Qaeda are not the same group. They were just friends.
I know that they're not the same group. I'm referring to them as another example of people that we funded.
They weren't even
Yes!
Then changed their designation.
By the way, that was during the
when
Cold
we
War.
were fighting with them.
That was in the name of fighting communism and Russia and stuff.
I know, and you don't need. I'm not even saying that you need to that you can just take the L, though you can, because $30 trillion later, not a lot to show for it.
I'm not
But-
defending the war on terror here, but it sounds like you seem to think that every
Well, It kind of seems like you are.
No,
'Cause I
I'm
made a
not. I'm
very
saying that
simple,
like we need to be
non-controversial
specific
point.
about things. And it sounds like
I
you're
don't think that we actually do. I think that I can look at a I think I can look
also, it
at
took
a general
Afghanistan.
pattern of
Hold on. It took Afghanistan a little bit of time before they descended into like the chaotic or like before they like I think they had another civil war after they finished with the Russians. It wasn't like it immediately turned around and the Taliban rose up using the weapons that America gave the Mujahideen. It took a while. There was a whole bunch of
Okay.
groups and they fought each other. I'm just saying it's a
that
little
makes
bit more
me feel better about the
complicated.
$10 trillion. Yeah, no, it's actually not all that complicated. But I'm a very much results based person, right? So I don't think that you are still showing
No,
me
I'm
that you
talking
actually
about in
are
the aftermath of
you are familiar with the history of these countries. You are familiar that we
yeah,
did
a little
recently.
bit. I'm not like super duper
You
familiar
don't
with
have to be
it.
super familiar with it. I'm not super familiar with it. I just own up to the fact that I have a general awareness that, yes, we do still engage in military actions to overthrow countries, to overthrow governments. And sometimes it's more covert, sometimes it's more overt. I'm not going to
Yeah, I
use the
know.
evidence that, or
I'm
the
not
lack of
saying
specific evidence, the lack of a written confession that we overturned a specific country through covert action as evidence that we would never do such a thing, because we do it all the time. We've been doing it for a century, at least.
again, like
I
I
don't think we
said,
need to contest this point.
yeah, we literally just established a moment ago and we all agreed that like the war on terror is not the same as the kind of shit that America engaged in during the Cold War. That's all that I was saying. That was the only
I'm not
point that I
saying,
was getting
okay,
at.
I don't care about the same kind of shit. We're talking about coups and we're talking about military, and we're talking about overthrowing governments. I don't care if it was done with this many bombs versus that
No,
many
I'm not
bombs or
talking
this
about
many
that. I'm
assassinations.
saying that during the Cold War, when the United States did it, it was often secret. It was not something that was out
Okay.
in the open. And nowadays, it's usually not secret. It usually involves them straight up just going in there and bombing shit.
I
Or
don't think that this
yeah.
is a useful distinction for whether or
I mean,
not
if you
we
don't
have the right to
want to
suspect them.
think that that's a useful distinction, that's fine. But I'm just saying that if America had interfered in Ukraine, it probably wouldn't have been secret. And like
Okay.
there was at least some level of like it's not like they weren't talking to people on the ground in there. They were. That's where the Victorian Newland phone call came from that everybody likes to point to as evidence that the United States engineered, but it wasn't. It was just them talking about expressing a preference over which leader that they think would be easiest to deal with.
Okay. Hey, that is plausible. I'm still going to, if we're looking at our 39th rape on the block, and I happen to cross paths, I happen to find Rapey McThirty-eight, the history of 38 rapes
Wouldn't it
under his
be
belt,
McForty
big
or
rape.
McThirty-9?
Yeah, but I still don't know.
Well, he's not
That's
I don't have any
that's
evidence that he's McThirty-9.
that's not
Actually, we only have proof of the other 38, and I could never even remotely suspect that he's number 39.
I don't. I'm
This
sorry.
This is where Lactoid gets people really frustrated, and I think really starts running laps
We're
around
back to
people
Lactoid?
because we're back to Lactoid and like other people, because it's so tortured to go over this specifically when we know, I know, we all know that the US does engage in this behavior. And I don't think that you can say the rape wasn't loud enough to prove or to suspect that McRapey is on to number 39. Because his last 10
this
were
just it feels so ridiculous
loud.
that you're when there's a whole bunch of other shit that clearly caused Euromaidan that had nothing to do with the United States.
Sure. Yeah, that's not the wing condition for whether or not there's been any kind of interference, and you are aware of that, and that makes this conversation more toward, because that's rarely. I mean, Okay, let me give you an example.
Yeah, but
The
Lactoid's
CIA
contention
the
isn't.
CIA tried to overthrow or tried to get involved with a change of power in Chile. Now, happily and ironically, the Chilean government actually beat them to the punch, because their Congress, their Senate, right, their whatever they were, picked General Pinochet, and said, we don't want our current leader in here. Please engage a coup. We're begging you. Please engage in a coup. And Pinochet initially said no. And the CIA said, you want some help? And Pinochet said, I want the fucking job. I don't want to do it. And then he eventually did take the job. He did take the job because his people were suffering. So
I feel like if I bring up the fact that this is, I'm guessing this is another Cold War example, you're just gonna like yell at me again about like.
No, this is in the Cold War. This is in the Cold War. So I'm bringing something up that maybe we could bounce off of, right, or use as a jump pad to maybe some other branch of the conversation, because this was during the Cold War. The CIA did attempt to intervene, but kind of did so unsuccessfully.
Yeah, I know. The CIA did a whole bunch of shit during the Cold War, and some of it was incredibly incompetent, and they fucked it up a lot of the time. See the Bay of Pigs, etc., etc. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that the
CIA is not actually like as awesome as everyone says that they are. Yeah, I know you don't think that they
cocaine
ever
though. Oh man, I miss it.
I mean, sometimes the CIA
they didn't
is
give
awesome.
us the cocaine. That's problem. Yeah, I mean, the CIA has done some good shit in the past. I sure. I'm not a child. I'm not gonna be like, oh well, the government did it, so it was bad. Just because there is a pattern, I'll be suspicious. But
yeah, I know. But like your claim that like America just never stopped doing that same kind of Cold War shit. Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah, I listen. If you can disprove it, tell me that they stopped. Because the government's toppling.
The thing is that because of the fact that we've been pretty open about that we're not doing that anymore, and overall, it seems like there hasn't been much proof to show that we have been doing it since we started.
We investigated ourselves and found ourselves innocent.
No, it's not. There hasn't just been any evidence in general.
It's been investigated by third parties as well. So that what it means then is it's not really on Kalinda to prove to disprove this, right? Yeah. So it's more on you to back up your point, right? The burden of proof is more on you.
Right. I disagree. Or I would say that countries keep toppling. We still have a CIA. We still engage in regime change in other ways. It would seem odd to me that
yes, but now you're just like
gave up. If you were making an argument to like, listen, we found that this is wildly inefficient. It's way better to just drop bombs on these people and give a few rebels money, and then we've got Gaddafi raped with a bayonet, and all is right with the world. Like that's a convincing argument. Until that point, I'm just going to be like, and we should go to a different branch of the conversation. I am just going to be suspicious because
in general, we don't even
not to be.
In general, we don't even fund rebels. We usually give them old stock of weapons. Is usually what we do because it's cheaper for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main thing. It's really expensive for us to enact operations on other soil. So what we prefer to do is we prefer to just give them old weapons. That's typically how we operate. So it is actually something that's cheaper for us to fund rebels is just give them old weapons that we're not going to use anyway.
Our local people on the ground are spies, but they usually operate out of stations. A little bit of trivia for you. One of the best spy show you'll ever watch is a show called The Sandbaggers. It's about MI6 operatives. It was written by a guy who worked in mission planning, which are the people who make sure that like your cover is good to go. Now, the structure of MI6 was at the time, probably still is, I guess, is protected under the Official Secrets Act. So he couldn't like just spill the beans on everything. So what he did, he figured something out where he said, okay, well, I need to make this realistic for some of these plots to work out. I work a lot with Americans, and there's a prominent American character on the show. So what instead, there's a structure of like you have a station, and then there's number one, there's number two, and a number three, and they're like the guys who go out and interact with one another, and they know what kind of cigar to smoke, and they know what newspapers to read, and they read in their own language and say, wait a minute, Netanyahu actually is calling for censorship in the something like that.
Hey, It's
You're not getting the
Dispel.
structure of MI6. You're not getting the structure of MI6 when you watch that show. You're getting the structure of the CIA, just using British characters. So they have these stations. Alex Station is the one in Saudi Arabia.
Wait, hold on. I might actually
I'm
want to
not
watch
gonna go
this
down that
show.
thread.
You don't need to tell us all about it.
No, that's in real life. Alex Station is the one in Saudi Arabia. They don't go to Saudi Arabia in the
Okay.
show.
Yeah.
You would love this show, though. You would fucking love it.
Yeah, I like espionage. It's one of my favorite genres. But anyway, I guess just like the last thing to say on Ukraine is like I understand that I'm probably never going to be able to disprove your weird idea that because that there are still governments that are there are still coups that happen in the world, it means that it's possible that the CIA was involved in them. You know, like for example in Sudan, they had a string of military coups there, but like you don't necessarily have any evidence that the CIA was involved in any of them. And I feel like you have to have a little bit more than sometimes CIA does coup to assume that the CIA must still be doing coups because coups are happening. There's lots of reasons why Euromaidan happened in Ukraine, and none of them really have anything to do with the United States. And they all had to do with
Absolutely.
Yanukovych was corrupt as fuck, and he broke his promise. And then he turned around and like killed the association agreement that he had promised to sign. And then, of course, the thing that really killed it was the fact that he outlawed protesting and his thugs started beating people up in the streets. And that just caused more people to come out and protest harder. Like some people who didn't even necessarily agree.
Those people, supposedly, those people got some money from USA. But
no, they didn't.
Again, that's one of these supposedly. But again, that's taking advantage. That's taking advantage of like an active, ongoing crisis, not like doing a coup from the ground up. Like we're in agreement on stuff like that. I'm not convinced that there was a coup. I'm just like I reject the you have no evidence argument. It's like no, I got some evidence. I'm worried about it. So
I don't really think there's
besides
that much,
Ukraine. What else?
Oh. Well,
very concerned about it.
Hold on, just a second. I see that Dispel is in here. Hello, Dispel. You said some.
Who's Dispel?
Hello.
I think you're a leftist.
I'm a little bird.
Yeah, you hate Lonerbox, right? I'm one of his mods. I'm a fan of his.
Oh.
And
hey.
Yeah, I watched your ridiculous debate with him where you made a bunch of very stupid arguments about how liberals are the ones who are bullying leftists all the time. And I'm sure you probably have some real dumb opinions about Israel,
and
Palestine.
That's also true.
Oh, we got drama, guys. It's become a drama stream.
Oh no, I don't want it to be drama. I just thought that, like, honestly, Dispel Lonerbox
It's an execution, not drama.
Lonerbox is pretty convinced that you are a troll.
Yeah. I mean,
more slander against people who are funny. And
I'm just saying that that's just what he thinks.
People are saying this, not Kalinda necessarily, but people.
I mean, I don't know. I might start to think you're a troll. Like obviously Ash is a little bit of a troll, but that's by his own admission that he likes to rage bait, which is fine. I mean, it is kind of funny, so it's whatever. But
I support it.
I don't know. I don't really like rage baiting. It's not great.
Yeah, I know this.
Like I would prefer people like leave interactions with me feeling better than like when they left in. But like right now.
What's your opinion about Israel-Palestine, Dispel? And you too, Ash.
You can look at my logs in Loner Cord.
Wait, are you still in Loner Cord or did you leave?
No, I'm not. But my logs should still be there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Wait, were you one of the people that left when he stopped being a socialist?
I mean, was he ever? I don't know. He had a flag behind him. I guess that's enough to make you a socialist.
I mean, he called himself
a socialist. Is that your opinion on Israel-Palestine?
That's how it works on Twitter.
Yeah, just tell us your opinion on Israel-Palestine instead of saying, go look at my logs, bro. I'm like streaming right now.
Real,
Come
though.
On.
So it's an opportune time. I mean, I don't know.
What is so complicated?
Israel's pretty cool. I've been there. It's nice. They got a lot of public transit. I will say I had a really bad experience.
David Frum and the other guy, Douglas Murray, that piece of shit, because they were revealed to be foreign spies, and because this gentleman has used the same phrase as those foreign spies did, I do believe this counts as evidence that he may be in the employ of Israel.
Okay, stop rage baiting. God damn it.
Where's my 2000?
It's I
You
believe
guys
it's
are getting 2,000.
I believe it's
Kalinda, can we get it?
7,000.
You need some.
I believe it's $7,000.
Whoa, that's a dog whistle, Kalinda. You can't be saying that.
What? It's the
That's your, like,
$7,000
it's a dog whistle
per social
it's
media
anti-Semitic
post.
for you to say that.
It's actually not
$7,000 for a post. Why would I give you $6,000? Hey, this guy's trying to take $5,000 from me.
It's not actually $7,000 per post.
Yeah, I said it was 2,000.
I don't know how much it's. I don't even know if they're paying them per post.
Yeah, I don't know either. But yeah, I don't know.
It sounds like you don't actually
but-
have any opinions. I don't know like what your problem is then with like Lonerbox, or it sounds like you don't even really want to argue and that you just came in here to chill. God damn it! I'm trying to get some
That's
content.
Okay, so Israel, I
love
view
Lonerbox.
I could say
Israel
something
as,
racist if you want.
No, please
give you
don't do
content.
that. Go ahead,
Mm.
Ash. I'll just keep talking to you.
You have my Zony. You're gonna have my heart forever. It's
Yeah, I'm really more of like
what's
a
something that's
black.
not racist?
I'm really more of like a black ooze enjoyer. Red oozes I think are also like really good. But like the green oozes, I don't know. It's like sort of like a run out trope, you know? Like you really just see them everywhere, and it's like you really just can't get rid of them.
Okay, that being said, what are your opinions on the gelatinous cube then?
the GQ.
It's a classic.
The GQ.
Nice.
I mean, I plan on running a campaign for a couple of people who haven't really played before, and I'm trying to get a list of like things like that they should be hitting. You know, a couple of notes.
I hate
think
the
an ooze is gonna have
gelatinous
to be one of them.
cube. One killed me in one of the very first games of D&D that I ever played when I was in high school.
Yeah, it's because your DM hates you though.
What?
So you just need a good DM.
Sometimes you
That's
can't
it.
go wrong.
Yeah, you need a
but-
better DM. That shouldn't be
Oh,
happening in
I
the very
mean-
first game.
Like
It
very
wasn't.
first game.
It wasn't my very first game. It was like a game that I played like later on. I think my first game was kind of
First
we just
campaign,
played
then.
like a regular module. Now I don't know. I don't really count. I think like the best D&D games that I played were like from college onward, or more recent games that I played with people over Discord. Those were far more interesting than any of the shit that I did in high school with my friends, where it was kind of just whatever. We were just kind of, yeah, it wasn't as interesting. Anyway, sorry. No, like
You wanted to go back to rage baiting Israel or what?
No, I just
Israel, like, I think they have way too much influence over American politics. I think they feed us bad military intel sometimes. I think they've short-sighted decisions have rapidly turned that country into a strategic liability for the United States. And their government has become a liability for its citizens. So I am worried for the people of Israel.
I mean,
because
I
think
don't disagree with that last part. I definitely think that Bibi Netanyahu's government is leading his country down a path that will not end well with all the weird settlement stuff.
Yeah.
However,
I mean, the thing about
Illegal.
the first
I think
Holocaust
illegal
is that
is
the
the
U.S.
term.
was there to stop it. But if the U.S. does a Holocaust, there's not going to be any fucking U.S. to stop it.
Well,
Hold
it's
on.
not like
That's
the
not
US
good.
stopped the. It's not like the US stopped the Holocaust out of like principle or something.
hold on, stop, wait,
Okay,
wait.
Nobody claimed
Stop.
that they did.
Stop.
Yeah, I mean, I
What's-
think it's just important to mention.
Yes,
No,
yes.
it's really not. It's absolutely not.
we're all-
despite
we're
the
all
fact that the constant
aware.
lack of gratitude and insistence on like, no, these actually weren't that important, and you actually didn't do anything correct. It's like, fine,
the US
then,
did a
I
lot.
guess we're just not going to get involved in the next one.
Okay,
Like,
stop. Wait, what the fuck are you on
They
about?
got a
Jesus
nation state.
Christ. Like, hold
They
on,
did kill him.
Ash. Ash, does it
Yeah.
bother you,
Yeah.
like, when it's pointed out, the fact that, like, everyone, it's not like it was specifically America's fault. Everybody failed the Jews. Everybody did.
What do you mean, everybody? hold on, you're not gonna hold me responsible.
I'm not
for
holding
the
you
fucking-
responsible. Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay,
Why do
that America. Fuck.
it wasn't just
Chill for a sec.
America. I said it was everybody, every country.
But it was
China did too.
I mean,
I think Ash's
every
fault.
like Western country.
It's totally
that-
Ash's fault.
Australia? Is that a
if
Western
you had,
country?
it would be
Ash,
easier if
you
you had
let
just
us-
pinned
you
it
let the
on
J
me, I
boys
would've
down.
believed it.
Every country that the Jews tried to go to, they were not allowed to go to.
Or they were kicked out.
They were kicked out of the U.S.
No, they weren't kicked
Yeah,
out
Ash,
of
why
the
did you do
U.S. But I mean,
No.
there were ships that tried to go to the U.S. and they were not allowed to go there.
Tips that got turned
And there was a
away.
law that was passed. I believe
They
it was
kicked
the
out?
Johnson-Reed Act that said that no, we won't take you. And there was the Evian conference where they were like, "Hey, what are we going to do about the issue of the Jews and all the shit that's happened to them in Germany in the 1930s?" And they were like, it's not our problem." And everybody said it wasn't their problem. And nobody fucking
And I
did
think in the
anything.
1930s that we had the Warsaw Ghetto still, so people were not aware of the
No.
conditions that they were in.
Oh, what are you trolling right now? Are you
Is that
serious?
If that's not accurate, would you just fucking say it?
I'm sorry. I just had to get I just had to get that out there. I had to do the same thing to you that you did to me
Okay.
with the fucking
That's totally fair.
with the War on Terror shit. No, the Warsaw Ghetto was not built until 1940. I think it was 1940, or it was like late 1939. Germany did not invade Poland. I'm talking until September of 1939.
So we
I'm
had
talking.
so their conditions were bad around that time.
Yeah, I'm talking about the persecution that Jews were enduring before World War II, after 1933 in Nazi
Okay.
Germany, and the fact that like people were concerned about this fact, and that there were Jews who were concerned and they wanted to leave, but they didn't have anywhere else to go to. And like some
What
of them
was that-
were
what
able
did
to
that
leave.
persecution look like beforehand? Like, was it like?
In
'Cause
30.
I do not know.
Oh, okay, that's
Okay.
fine. If you actually want to know, I think it was in 34. They
I'm
passed
100% ignorant.
they passed the Nuremberg laws, which basically like stripped Jews of all their rights. And before that, it was like sort of a gradual thing. They kicked them out of the civil service. They kicked them out of the schools. They tried to do a boycott of their businesses, which lasted like one day, which was in response to like a Jewish boycott that was being done to Germans. They pogromed them with Kristallnacht, which was in I think it was November 9th. I think it was 1936 or 37. I don't entirely remember all the year dates, but yeah, it was getting bad. And they had like a sort of policy where they were okay with Jews like leaving the country, but oftentimes when they did, they would take all their money, or they would charge them to be allowed to leave.
Like seize their assets, like make them pay bribes and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, not necessarily bribes. I mean, they had like some programs and stuff that they would do. They actually had like, there was like a little agreement that they did actually with the Yishuv in Israel to allow Jews to be able to immigrate there. But in order to do so, the Jews who were leaving had to pay a bunch of money. I would think it was called the Havara Agreement, but I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
Interesting.
Oh my god. Are
Yes.
these allegations true? You
What?
both think that Haitians have 50 IQ?
No, I don't think that Haitians have 50 IQ. I did not agree to that, but I also did not agree to have a
I heard
weird
it.
fucking race
According to
realism
Kalinda,
argument
that was
either.
Wait,
Belinda, you think Haitians have 50
According to
IQ?
Kalinda, That was a
Relations?
I heard it.
very generous
I heard
and
it.
high estimate.
It's kinda
Kalinda
racist,
sent them
Kalinda, come on.
away.
I said
Yeah.
if they have lower
Wow.
IQ, it's because of their shitty
thought you said
education
39.
and the. No, I did
Whoa.
not.
Wow.
Wow,
She thinks
kinda
Haitians
racist.
have
And then you
lower
did your best
IQs.
Rodney Dangerfield impression there. Hey, and boy, did they have a shitty education, let me tell you. You said
That's
that.
very interesting.
I feel like Kalinda
That was
hates black
great.
people. Like, I don't know.
Thanks, Spider.
That might be.
You guys are not.
I mean, didn't she kick you out from like the editor role?
What?
Speaking of drama, you want drama? There you go. Didn't she kick you out from like the editor role?
We're on Israel's drama
Stardust?
right now, but yeah, so like
We're not
how the
talking
fuck
about
did we get
drama.
to,
No, I did
I
not.
mean,
No.
Like, it's like
no, I
Spider's
did-
kind of like the goat of editing,
Um.
and like,
No, she starts been editing for like, let's say like a couple months now.
I am not a loner box
It was a
clip
long-term
channel.
operation.
I am not a loner box
Oh, yeah?
clip
Yeah, but
channel. Spider
Yeah,
is
but like
is
you
still the Loner Box Clip channel.
you push them out
Sometimes
from it.
I post loner content on my stream channel, but mostly I'm making my own content, not like
That's good.
loners content or whatever. That's still what Spider's still doing that. That's still his
Oh,
Would you
thing.
still post loner box clip content if he was Haitian?
What? Yeah, of course he could.
I think she'd have 2 channels for Loner Box
Would you love
content
me if
if
I
he
was Haitian?
Listen, Haitians are cool,
Just
okay?
checking.
And I think it's cool that
Yeah.
the Haitians got to go to Springfield, and at least based on what little bit that I've been reading here, it seems like they really helped out that town that they went to, and that they were an
No.
economic boom. But I don't want to start that
Oh.
conversation again.
I
No.
do think it. Look, I feel bad for them. I do think it sucks that eating human brains causes Karoo and other.
Yeah, see, he's just
it?
rage baiting now.
Yeah.
Cannibalism
I mean, it's, you know.
should not be harmful. It is.
I mean, I feel like you shouldn't get kuru if you like boil it, right? Like that should
no,
denature
that's not how that
proteins.
works. I'm
Or it's
afraid
like
that's
it's like
not how
the
that
prion
works.
disease.
Yeah,
Like
alright,
it's just
the
like
spell. I think
Yeah,
that you're
fire doesn't destroy prions. What
Yeah.
happens is again, it's
Linda, if you
misfolded
want to talk like
proteins, just the
anti-Semitism,
current
you want to
theory.
talk Israel. I'm doing a stream tomorrow. We're reviewing my favorite anti-Semite. Like, you're free to show up in chat.
Oh,
Wait,
Israel
Who's your
who-
favorite?
who?
And who's your top 5? That's a
No,
top
who's
5?
who
Oh, fuck.
who are you
I don't know.
reviewing? Nick Fuentes?
No, come on. He's like a small fry in the anti-Semitism game.
Tucker
Bro,
Carlson?
have you never heard of him? Oh, come on.
Can you
No,
just
Henry Ford.
Oh.
He is the fucking OG.
Yes, I know. Yes,
And
he wrote
probably
the
why the Democrats
International
suck.
Jew. Yes, I know.
It's literally why the Democrats suck on Israel. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be solved.
What?
You know,
What do you mean it's literally
there's
why?
just no solution.
I don't think the Democrats. Hold on. Sorry,
We're
I just want to
talking
go
about
back.
Solutions, my friend.
All right, stop.
Rage bait for rage bait?
What exactly? What were
You go band
y'all?
for band?
What were you all saying when you were talking when you were bringing up the Holocaust earlier? When you were saying like something about a Holocaust? I think that it was
So the
you.
U.S. the
No,
U.S. stopped the
no, I'm
first
not.
Holocaust.
Yes, I know. Whatever. I don't care about that. We just got done like on our Nazi Germany tangent.
All right.
No, you were trying to dispel. I think you were the one who said something like this or like doing a Holocaust or something. Do you think that what's going on in Gaza is a Holocaust? Or are you just
what? You want a second Holocaust? No, I think one was plenty.
okay? You're not. You're actually
Is it
not a serious
similar?
person.
Yeah, there's similarities. There's similarities.
No, there's not.
I mean, aside from like the Balfour Declaration, like that's probably the main difference.
No, I mean
but
there's
similarities.
no, there are not similarities between the Holocaust and what's happening in Gaza right now. Or
None
what
whatsoever.
People are
They're complete
dying.
opposites.
There's
Both of
none.
them.
I mean, come on, let's put on our thinking caps.
There are other words in the English language than total category errors.
What?
Who the fuck is speaking into? Hey, is there a vacuum that you could like shove into the microphone? Maybe a screaming toddler.
I think he's back on the phone again. Mute yourself.
Call ice on this motherfucker. I don't even care if he's in the U.S.
He's done this before. He's done this before. He'll pick up a call while he's still on.
Bro, I want to speak Espanol, bro.
I am
Yeah, I
going to
just
mute
muted him.
him.
Oh my god.
I'm a liberal and I'm responsible for my independent actions, so I independently muted
And
him.
just mute him.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I just muted
sorry. Can we like talk with that? Can I just talk to like one person at a time?
You want to talk about the
please?
Holocaust?
No, I want you to
Holocaust?
tell me what you were saying about the Holocaust being similar to what's happening in Gaza. Can you please explain?
Yeah, there's absolutely similarities. If you think that there's no similarities, then I think you don't have your thinking cap on.
What are the similarities?
Yeah, I don't know, like people dying. That's a good start.
No, that's not that yeah, all right.
It's not good, but
no, you're a troll. You're trolling me right now.
I'm not a troll. I'm sorry. Like if you can't even accept that basic premise, like
no,
yeah, there's
that's
similarities and
fucking
differences.
stupid. Well, I guess
This is literally critical thinking, comparing and contrasting.
I guess every war is similar to the Holocaust then, because civilians die in every war.
To the point.
I mean,
Actually,
I guess
we're moving this conversation forward. That's true.
I guess America did a Holocaust in Iraq, and Russia's doing a Holocaust right now in Ukraine.
It was pretty
This
brutal.
conversation is a Holocaust of language. Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
I don't know why you want all these Holocausts like popping up over the world. I mean, I wouldn't
Okay.
necessarily call it a Holocaust.
I regret like ever actually wanting to talk to you. I wanted this to be an interesting conversation, but you are not. I would rather just go back to talking to Ash because at least he would actually make points and
Yeah.
contribute
Engage
things.
and make fun. Yeah, no, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like
I don't know why you
want to
thought
talk
you could
about,
find
you know,
better. I'm the top.
I don't want to talk
baby.
about American military
Well, not the
weapons
top.
and shells like near the hollowed out skull of Palestinian children. Like, I don't know. It's not a nice
See-
topic. And like the problem with like lunar box orbiters is like that's all they want to talk about, the hollowed out skulls of Palestinian children, and it kind of sucks. Right?
I
Do you
mean,
have like a different phrase?
That's
that you
why
could
his like
use
drama
where you,
content
like,
is so much
if you could
better.
introduce maybe a new
Well,
fact
people
or a
have
new
got-
sentence, new subject, anything, could you describe it in a different way?
listen, I like talking about the Israel-Palestine stuff because I find it interesting, because I'm interested in the history, and also because it triggers the fuck out of me when people compare Israel to Nazi Germany, because I think that's fucking stupid. And it's also anti-Semitic, by the way, even though like it'll make people
No, it's
mad
not.
that I say that. Yes, it
I mean,
absolutely is.
like you know, the Zionism
I've heard a lot about
was a
what's
Nazi
anti-Semitic
project.
these days, so I don't really trust that characterization, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that either.
No,
I think that
listen,
I think people can do things that are comparative to the Nazi Party, and you shouldn't be excluded from that just because of the fact that your people were subjugated by them, or even
my issue is that I think that the only reason why people do that is because it makes is to like make Israelis and Jews mad. That's why. Because
Which
and
would
also
presumably is not
here's the question.
anti-Semitic,
Hold on.
but two.
Here's a question. Hold on. Here's the question.
no, you know what?
If
Forget
Israel
that I
ever
brought
did
that up.
something-
I don't.
Hold on. This is important. If Israel ever did anything that was much in line with what the Nazis did in Germany, would it be fair to compare them to it?
Yeah, probably, but I don't really think that like they've done anything that's in line with what the Nazis did. And also there's another word that we could use as well too. Why don't you just say fascism? I'm comfortable saying Ben Gvir's a fascist.
Well, it's not necessary.
And
well, it's not
Kahanism is
necessarily-
fascism.
Well, what they're doing, because a lot of people are going to quibble over that too. I mean, a lot of these label type words are going to be quibbled over, right? Holocaust, fascism, you name it, they're going to quibble over it. You can talk about what it is that they're doing and break down the various atrocities and what it is that they're enacting and how it is that they're treating the people, how they're subjugating them. And you can break that down. If you're going to lean on one label, you can expect that people are going to lean on another label to describe
Yeah,
them.
I know. Like, listen, forget about the anti-Semitic shit, okay? I shouldn't have even said that because I know
I don't
that
think we should forget about it. What are you talking about?
Because it was blood libel. No, I'll defend Kalinda
yeah.
just briefly. If you, then we can move on. Like, I'll defend Kalinda here. Kalinda's pretty consistent about labels.
I don't think anybody
stuff.
I don't think anybody based on their history should get a pass from being criticized on a certain type of thing, right?
Yeah, I
don't
know.
think that
I
was
agree.
actually-
It's just
Kalinda-
that right now I
yeah.
don't think that the comparison applies. And
Yeah,
I
but
think
people would
that
disagree.
Kalinda's looking
There's
more
some
I know.
like
people who would
stuff like,
disagree
hey,
with
you could say fascist, but don't say Nazi.
because there
Nazis were
are a lot of
specific
people.
no, it's not.
There are a
It's
lot of people who would disagree.
yeah, I know there
who-
are.
Who
I-
disagree with other terms being used, right? And they would call it a Holocaust.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
but
so-
my point is that I think that that's stupid, and I don't think that that comparison applies, and I don't think that Israel is like Nazi Germany either, and I think that that is also stupid, and I feel like people who make that argument are historically illiterate and don't actually know how bad the Holocaust or the Nazis actually were.
I mean, that's probably
they're
fair to
pretty bad.
say, but you still gotta, it's too. I would say you're kind of reducing it the same way that they are when you say that it's anti-Semitic for them to say it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, to compare and contrast.
Okay, that's fine then.
There you go
Like I
with that
said,
again.
forget about the fact that I said that it was anti-Semitic then.
Did you have any specific questions about the Israel-Palestine thing that you thought were like an interesting topic? Or I don't think we ever got to that earlier.
Oh, between
You're still
with-
interested.
I mean, I don't agree with you that Israel has some sort of crazy outsized influence. I mean, are you going to start talking about the clean break memo and say that Israel was responsible for America's invasion of Iraq? Is that where you're going to go with
Nobody
that?
who talks about the clean break memo says that Israel is responsible. I believe that it was a U.S. operation. It was, to my knowledge, those were
Yes, it
U.S.
was.
soldiers. Those were U.S.
Yes,
weapons.
the United States
When
did
we
it
talk
because they
about
thought it
things
would help
like
America's
influence,
interest.
and did anybody pitch them on that idea? Did anybody suggest that it would be in their interest to do so?
Yeah, Americans did.
Were there anybody other than Americans? I assume that was a given.
I was
given
going to say
that,
Bibi
you know,
Netanyahu.
Yes, I understand that
Yeah, it's gonna
Israel
be
wanted
Bibi
the United
Netanyahu.
States to act and do something about Saddam. I'm aware of that.
To
I know that
invade,
Israel
sorry,
did not
just to be clear,
like.
to invade
Yeah, I know,
and carry
but
out the
you're
clean
trying.
break
Yeah,
memo. To
hold on.
invade and carry out the clean break memo.
Do you think that absence of Israel wanting the United States to do that America wouldn't have gone into Iraq?
It's 100% possible.
I don't
historically
think
speaking,
so.
a lot of our presidents run on peace and anti-war. Hey, we're not going to get into. We're going to stay out of World War One. Hey, we're going to stay out of World War
Yeah,
II.
but
Hey,
that's
we're going to
not.
stay out of Vietnam. Hey, we're going to do that. They often run on it. So when the American people are given an opportunity to say what they want, they usually say, "Don't do it, please."
Yeah, but that
We've
was
had
never
enough.
that. I mean,
And
it's great that you say that, but
so the
that's
question
not
is,
what.
what kind of political will would override that of the American people? And that's obviously the neoconservatives, the Christian Americans who were welded at the hip to the Likud party. It's their responsibility.
No,
They spent our tax dollars. They did it.
That's
the
not
Likud
why
party.
they did
Didn't
it.
do it.
Do you think?
Americans did.
Okay. I feel like
Yeah,
you're
this
forgetting.
argument where you claim, oh, I'm forgetting. I'm just forgetting that they believe it's their God-given duty.
No,
to
I feel like you're
support
forgetting
Israel in
about
all
something
things.
incredibly important here, and that something is called
What is more
9/11.
Right, and Saddam did 9/11.
No,
right?
Saddam did not do 9/11, but 9/11 was the thing.
Okay.
Like, what do you think that that did not give any sort of impetus? Like, do you think that absent 9/11 the United States would have gone to Iraq? No, they fucking wouldn't have.
No.
Wait, 100. Hold on, they did. It was the second Iraq War, was it not?
Yes, it was the second Iraq War. Why did they go into Iraq the first
What
time?
are you talking about?
Hold on. We went into Afghanistan in response to 9/11.
Yes,
the Iraq
yes, that's
War
correct.
came after that.
Yes, it did, but it was part of the overall war on terror.
Sounds like it was part of the overall clean break strategy, clean break memo. And yes, I do believe that 9/11, in fact, the neoconservatives talked about this quite often. They said, absent a Pearl Harbor, we will never get this past the American people. And then we actually did get a Pearl Harbor.
Are you?
Which wasn't all surprising because the warning bells have been going on.
Are you
since,
trying to insinuate
1986.
something? Do you think 9/11 was an inside job?
Did I say 9/11? Hold on. That's really fucking disgusting.
Okay, do you think that Bush knew about 9/11 and that do you think Cheney knew about 9/11 and he let it happen?
What the fuck? Why did you switch to the vice president?
Because that Cheney was largely the neocon driving force, and because that he had a lot of influence over Bush.
They were all the neocons. There was nobody who wasn't a neocon.
I know that Bush. Yes,
administration.
I'm aware that Bush was a neocon.
I say the warning bells were going on for 2 decades. I mean, there had been a prior attack on the World Trade Center.
Yeah, okay, I know that, and you can, and also there's definitely arguments you can make about failures.
Yeah, but you
of
accused me of not taking that information. Instead, you regarded. See, this is the thing that I found so fucking crazy about the previous, or the first 2 hours of our conversation, where you constantly said you're assuming that you know what these people believe and that you're divining that because they
I wasn't assuming that. That's why I asked you a question. I didn't go, oh my god, Ash thinks 9/11 is an inside job. I asked the question.
Are you insane? Are you insinuating it?
But you did
You were
load it
100%
with
Yes,
the
you're
belief,
right. I did.
right?
I'm sorry.
So-
It's so like Jesus Christ. Why would you?
Because you're
Why are
Well, hold
you
on.
frustrated
He's got a
with me
point.
for saying that? I am drawing
He-
very clear
Yeah,
lines
because that
between
you're
political
trying to.
events and political opportunism based on testimony from the people who made these decisions. And your response is to try to drag me into conspiracy theory.
I mean,
It's not cool. And this is why, by the way, I believe that Israel has undue influence on American politics, because this is not an American way of thinking at all. It's not a Western way of thinking at all. We take a sober, rational look at what people are doing, what they say they're going to do, and then are there any connections between what they are doing now and what they said they were going to do earlier? Well, if so, then maybe we could use this past behavior as a predictor for future behavior. Perhaps we can use the signed, written, dotted I's, crossed T's,
okay.
confessions
Can we just
of these people.
stop? Just a second.
I have been long-winded.
The thing is
It's
that
2 days of no sleep. It's distorting my sense of time.
what the fuck is
How
wrong
the
with
fuck
you?
do you 48
Time to hug
hours?
that cat.
Wow. I'll give you 40 hours. How the fuck are you alive on 40 hours?
You could be alive for no sleep for 2 days. I think it's like a week is what kills you.
Okay.
Well, 40 hours, and
Yeah.
this is what you're saying. Incredible discipline. I'm gonna have to say. Very impressive, actually.
I think that you are listen, it's a bit weird when you say stuff like when you were talking about the we'll never get this past absent like some sort of Pearl Harbor. Like when people say shit like that, the implication is that like you're trying to imply that they were like, oh shit, we need something really bad to happen, and that like maybe they might have done something to make something really bad happen. Okay, I'm sorry
Oh,
if
that's
like
cool.
the
So
insinuation.
they wrote it, and that means that they wrote it. I read it out, and that means that I'm a conspiracy
You're
theorist.
insinuating.
No, I'm not saying that you're a conspiracy theorist. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, it wasn't just asking
are
the
you a
question.
conspiracy
You know it.
theorist?
You already admitted to it and apologized for it, and I forgive you for it, by the way. I don't want to go back over that. I understand that if somebody leaves that hanging out in the open, that is ripe for conspiracy theory, right? Because that's how conspiracy theories operate.
And we need to clamp down on this.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think there were definitely better
terrorism
routes that Kalinda could have taken to sort of tease out the conspiratorial.
Yeah,
bone
okay,
and,
you're right.
and Ash that you
fucking.
suspect.
It's 11 o'clock, and I'm kind of tired. Okay.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Listen, so here's the thing. Terrorist attacks were largely confined to a different 2/3 of the globe, right? Mostly didn't happen in China, mostly didn't happen in America. It was kind of like a rare thing in America, perceived as a rare thing. Whereas hijackings and bombings, they were slightly more common in things like Europe. So at that point, they're looking at it and they're not even referencing like, hey, we need our hijacking of our own. They're just saying like we need another Pearl Harbor. Like unless we're going to get attacked, like the comparison is the anti-war sentiment would require something like so devastating that it would like not just a terrorist attack. A terrorist attack, they didn't say terrorist attack. They said like literal act of war from a different country. Which I think that I think that says it wasn't an inside job, right? Because we got something much less severe than Pearl Harbor in some respects.
Okay, that's
right.
All right. Okay. I mean,
do you think Israel has like a perfectly standard influence on American politics?
Okay.
Because right, you're pushing against the idea that there's an outsized influence.
I mean, I certainly think that people exaggerate the influence. Like, for example, AIPAC doesn't spend nearly as much money as everybody thinks that they do.
Israel, the concept of Israel has a large influence, but not the state itself. The biggest reason Israel has any kind of influence is because the evangelical Christian base in the United States, not because the Israelis are going around giving people money or pulling ears and telling them secret things.
Yeah. And people
A
like
little bit of scanning
Peter Thiel are
barcodes,
trying
but
to like
that is
rile them
it.
up. Like tons of like right-wing influencers are trying to buy up like Protestant and non-denominational and evangelical churches across America to rile them up, you know. And it really sucks. It's really like hard to see. And I feel like, the actual sort of front lines of the political sphere is actually in church. And that's why I highly recommend anybody goes to church. I
Okay.
mean, the connection to Jesus, I think, is also good.
All right, Dispel, please stop. I feel like you are ruining this conversation
It's
with
like
your
it.
fucking trolling.
Bro, I'm sorry. You literally bro, I'm saving you from this
Oh my
conversation
God.
of you insinuating
Who's winning
that
right now?
Mike,
he's a conspiracy theorist.
SDA finally got
We
here.
already got
I was
over
playing
the
video
fucking
games.
conspiracy thing.
No, that's fine. It's not
Wait,
your
just who won
fault.
though? Who's winning right now though? Who's winning the debate?
Stop, Spider. No one's winning. We're all losing.
Spider, you and I are winning.
We're
We're
all
winning.
losing.
Chat's winning.
Oh,
Spider, you and I
I-
are winning. Zonya's
I'm
winning.
tired
Chat is
of winning,
Oh, yeah.
and that's why I stopped.
No, okay.
You're gonna, yeah. It's done. No more
I'm
winning.
also
SDA,
just
before
tired.
you
Can we just
got
go back to the
here,
facts?
can actually SDA before you got here, Ash was saying some stuff about well actually
Cheers.
well yeah,
You
technically
just have Ash speak for himself if he wants to, but I doubt this lady wants to relitigate everything.
actually, you know what? You want to talk about like immigration again? I mean, if you want to go back to that, because I feel like SDA knows more about that than I do.
I killed myself, actually.
What?
I like to kill
Oh,
myself,
it's-
actually. I don't want to
it's
go, it's like, hey,
DA.
this is why you're racist, or here's a more torture conversation
DA
about how
the
you could be
champ?
racist.
I'm a champion of immigration. I'm a supporter of the standards of free immigration that the United States maintained for nearly 150 to 200 years. And
Wait, but it's
I
not free. You have to apply, and like there's a charge.
Dispel, stop.
and then
I'm sorry. Is that not a true point?
The largest source of economic growth in the United States has been can be almost entirely attributed to immigration itself. Just having more
fair.
people,
Yeah, that's true.
equal more economic productivity.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
All right,
No.
well,
And we're
yeah,
currently
first,
in a
I'm capturing
labor
this conversation,
shortage,
Glinda.
so we desperately need immigrants.
We
Well, I
have
mean,
a
the alternative
employment
is, we
shortage.
support families, right?
Okay,
We give, pretty
Dispel,
much what
I
Israel
feel
does
like
to like
I
the
don't want to
Haretzi.
relitigate this because he's going to keep going
No,
off on
I
like
think
these
I
random
think we should
fucking
give people
tangents.
like subsidies for like
Who,
children.
me
Like,
or
we should
just
give
Okay, I don't know. Not
Yeah,
not
just
you.
give
I
marital,
assume
like,
that you
time
have some
off.
command of this subject. Dispel is going off on random tangents to kind of like inject and see if he
would you
gets
No,
a
say
reaction. but
because the
we'll
intentionally
immigration debate-
derailing the
that.
conversation?
Well, I think Dispel is
Violating
actually
what-
trying to contribute right now.
no,
Yeah,
he's
that- I'm
not.
sorry.
I
He's-
think the contributions have been
See,
sufficiently
this is what fucking
and
happens.
prodding.
Like, you try and bring up a point, and like liberals will just like shut you down because they're like, oh, it's not relevant. But actually, it's completely relevant to the
Okay.
immigration debates. Birth rates are absolutely a part of it, and the best solution is supporting families and mothers in America.
Okay, but when I brought
We
up
can still, bring people
immigration and the
good.
concept
Interesting.
of the policy of free immigration, you wanted to say it's not free, you have to pay a fee.
It's not.
Like that's trolling.
Yeah, most of like American immigrants
Well,
are like
what that demonstrates to me is you don't
individuals
understand
from
what the
foreign
term free
nations.
immigration means. Do you know what the term free immigration means?
Well, I mean, I actually like kind of don't know. Like,
Okay,
it kind of
I
seems like
can-
a really
then-
heavily loaded term.
Well, what you might hear modernly
It doesn't
is
cover
people
the
use it-
Chinese Exclusion Act, I am sure. I'm not actually sure.
Is it free immigration? If you hear it in the modern context, it's going to be what it's kind of misrepresented as the idea of open borders. But essentially, as long as you, if you want to come and live and work here, you are free to do so as long as you're not a criminal carrying communicable disease or a threat to national security. Those are the three main and only standards the United States held for barring individuals from entering the country for nearly 150 years.
What period of time is that? Or what period of 150 years?
Since our founding till about the first Chinese Exclusion Act case, actually, Ching Ching Ping versus the United States.
Ching Ching
That's not a
Ping.
real name. You made that up.
No,
No,
that's not
No,
a real
that's
name, bro.
not.
That's
Well,
not
I may
really
not be
sound.
pronouncing it correctly, but let me look it up.
I mean, it would have been like Alien and Sedition Act, I guess, to that point. Like, or whenever they overturned the Alien
Yeah.
there, or gutted it.
I'm glad I wasn't the one who had to do the
Che
racism for the
Chan.
content.
It is Che Chan Ping v. U.S.
Yeah.
That was in 1889.
Yeah, that's the one that gave ICE the powers to pretty much take anybody off the streets. Like in the modern day.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, the ICE was
Yeah, it
not a
is.
thing in 1889.
It wasn't, it wasn't a thing back in 1889, but back then the idea was, for stochastic terrorist gangs to induce local
Che
Chinese
Jinping versus
residents
the
to
United States
voluntarily
is a
leave.
fulcrum, is still a long-standing fulcrum and precedent of U.S.
I
immigration
might not be
law.
thinking of the right one, right? I'm not sure if I'm thinking.
There's
of the
about a
right,
dozen
case.
Chinese Exclusion Act cases. So.
Oh, okay.
But this is the first one. This is the landmark case. Like Heller was the landmark case of the Second Amendment.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks. I wish, the egalitarian project of the United States, open borders, closed borders.
Man, you gotta figure out a way to just connect your thoughts together, like say something at the outset that other people, a guidepost, a North Star, so people know what the fuck you're trying to get at, because you keep going off on random tangents.
It just sounds like he's
interrupting
trolling.
your own sentences to go off on new tangents. Fucking sickening.
It sounds like you
I mean, I do feel a little sick.
That's all.
No, I do feel a little sick.
Okay.
Wait, what'd you say, SDA?
I said it just sounds like he's been heating the weed pen, and so whenever he hears something he thinks he can talk about, he's opening his mouth. But
yes, all right. I mean, if you don't want to talk about, actually, you know what, SDA, do you know about the stuff that he was just talking about with regards to the like the neoconservatives and the clean break shit and all of that other crap about
I mean, I know around it. I don't really know about it, but I would not buy into the idea that we entered into Iraq for any purpose other than pretty much our stated ones, if I'm remembering correctly. Was Iraq was WMDs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
that was the primary purpose of entering it. Whether or not it was cooked up, you would actually have to.
Oh no, it was cooked up. The WMD.
No, I understand that. What I mean is like the idea that we're going to ship bazillions of dollars of equipment and personnel halfway across the world to try and turn a profit on some oil is not.
Oh yeah,
unless
no,
you're
I
trying
don't.
to tie it back to Israel.
I never saw any benefit from those. I wish we had. Fucking. If you fucking neocons would just every once in a while say, "Hey, you're gonna get a free, you get some beachfront property at Gaza," I would be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." So finally, a win for the little guy. If you just said, "Hey, you are gonna get some free oil," listen. They're doing stuff. Saddam's doing illegal stuff over there. He's got stuff that belongs to us. U.S. military's gonna fix it. It just completely flips it, but we don't get.
So I'm not gonna go. I mean, I could, but my principal positions aren't neoconservative. They're not I'm broadly a libertarian, not your Dave Smith type who's like, oh, I'm a libertarian, but I'm
like an actual libertarian.
I'm sitting here talking about open borders, guns, legalization of drugs, smaller federal government, competing private institutions of law and security with public ones, but I'm also not going to sit here and say we need to. I'm not going to sit here and say, we need to instantly tear down the United States federal government and let something else rise from the ashes. I'm practically.
I don't think anybody's pitching that. I'm going to disagree with your characterization as Dave Smith is not an actual libertarian. He's got far more cred than you and anybody on this earth.
No, Dave Smith is utterly fucking
maybe
retarded.
Ron Paul. Yeah, I know. It's like he doesn't support open borders because he doesn't believe that you can just impose by force.
I don't think Dave Smith even knows what
impose by force externalities on other people without paying any kind of cost or restitution to the people you're forcing it on. Sure, but people have made that argument. People do make that argument. If you're going to import, for instance, Somalians with, say, a net drain
what do you mean by import?
A net drain of $500,000 across the course of their lifetime, literally negative taxes.
What do you mean by import,
Like they
though?
just drank.
I
Yeah,
should
like so in
What do you
policy
think I mean by
discussions.
import? What the fuck does import mean?
In policy discussions, the words you choose are incredibly important. So if you're going to
That's
use
correct.
the word,
So when I say import, I'm implying that
Mhm.
they did not walk here of their own volition, that there might be a political project to bring them here. That's probably why they were dumped in
or
Minnesota,
perhaps a
rather than a
humanitarian
climate
project.
dumped in Minnesota,
part political.
rather than
Yeah, for
in
sure.
a climate more suitable to them, which would certainly imply. I would expect the humanitarian project might not dump a bunch of Somalians in like a really cold place that doesn't get a lot of not great for your vitamin D if you happen to need a lot of that.
Okay, when you say dump, do you mean literally just like put them out onto the street from
Yeah,
above?
obviously I mean like threw them out of a plane in midair, and that's why we have a
Yeah,
bunch of
right.
living Somalians in Minnesota. Do you want to
They
be like that
they
vague
definitely
about the
weren't
entire
like put
thing,
into
or do you
some
want
kind
to
of
address
social
a
program or
single
housing
point that I'm making, maybe
employment?
after the sentence is complete?
Ash,
Well, I
you're
think
very
you're just
long-winded.
sure, but I just
I
think you're
know,
doing
but
a
you're
ton of
asking me
intuition.
questions, and I'm answering the question, and then you interrupt it once it's clear that you're not going to clip chimp it. Then you're like, well, next one. Let's try another one.
Well,
bro.
no,
Kind of
I'm
annoying.
just following along. So I would very much disagree with the use of the word import itself, because these individuals, one, are coming largely, actually entirely of their own volition. No one's like going and trading for them and bringing them over here. They're saying, hey, we would like to come in. Would you sponsor us? And then they get it over to the United States, and then they're put in some kind of housing and employment system to place them in areas where they can potentially reach permanent status or citizenship after a while, these kind of things. And I wouldn't call it importation. I wouldn't call it dumping. I'd call it largely a humanitarian project that brings Somalis who, if we're specifically talking about Somalians, I don't know if you're referring to something or just using that as
I
an
was
example.
referring to Somalians specifically. This is why Dave Smith is a better libertarian than you, because he doesn't believe in just randomly importing non-libertarian people.
Again, it's not
Who are
importing.
opposed to the libertarian project, who are opposed to the American project.
This is
the
what we were
American
talking
civilization.
about earlier.
You think all of
Yeah.
these Somalians are opposed to the American project? They hate America.
I think the group of Somalians is opposed to the American project and acts in that regard.
The group of Somalians that were allowed into the country?
As opposed to whom?
Well, as opposed to just talking about all Somalis.
There's plenty of Somalis that are big fans of America.
Well, I also would think that if they're not big fans of America, why would they like come to the United States?
That is a good
To
question.
receive free shit? Because people are offering them housing. Like, hey, here's cell phones, here's housing.
Well, why wouldn't they go to Europe?
This humanitarian. Hold on. You pitched it as a humanitarian project. Was that to imply that they. Hold on. I'm going to ask you a question. I would just like you to wait until I finish the question before you answer, and hopefully answer the actual question. You referred to it as a humanitarian project. Was I not meant to understand that this was going to be done for their benefit?
I'm assuming they receive some large benefit from it, but that doesn't mean that they just get to sit around
Who
and
was
do
receiving a humanitarian service?
These Somalis you're talking about?
Right. So they were they receiving you pitched it as a humanitarian service.
Okay.
Who's the beneficiary?
Oh, who's providing it? Oh, who's the beneficiary?
No, the beneficiary. Who is receiving it? I'm sorry if I used that word wrong, by the way. It's
no, you're using that one correct. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's the Somali, these Somali individuals. The problem problem I'm having is I don't know exactly what you're
very tortured way of getting about why would these people who are being offered humanitarian aid want to come to a place where they're being offered humanitarian aid?
No.
That's
it's the
a
other way
suggestion.
around.
Actually, it is a trade that we're engaging in, because certain political parties, the ones that don't like libertarian policies, receive votes in exchange for these people.
These people aren't citizens. They don't. They don't vote.
Well, my initial premise was the idea.
He's not like so he can't vote, but he can run for mayor.
Is he an American? Is he a citizen?
Non-citizens can run for mayorship. You don't have to be a citizen to be a mayor.
So, okay.
I mean, that's just municipal law. There's no like legal. I mean, there's some cities that
I believe you.
yeah.
Omar Fatah was born in Washington.
Okay, well, my focus was on the idea of like these Somalis. You're telling me that they like oppose American values and ideals and hate the United States, but the only reason they're coming is to quote unquote get free shit. Then why wouldn't they go to some place like Europe?
Where they would actually get a lot more free shit. America doesn't really give free shit.
Yeah, the United and by the way, it's not.
Just to be clear, I agree.
It's not
with that.
America giving free shit.
The other thing to keep in
It is
mind
America
is
giving.
it's not.
Sorry, it's the Democratic Party giving free shit.
private
It's their local
organization.
municipality giving free shit.
The other thing
It's
to
the
keep in
American
mind is
taxpayer
it's not.
providing free shit, which libertarians are generally opposed to.
So you're telling me that this
favor of exchanging
do you know the name of this
benefit.
program? Do you know the name of this program or who's involved?
Oh, God damn it, I don't know the name, and that means that they weren't receiving free shit, and that nobody was voting.
No,
for the Democratic
because
Party.
you're
There
making
are no
certain
trends
claims
among
that
this
it's
group
funded by
because
the
I
American
don't know the name.
taxpayer.
I've never been to Minnesota, and I can't say that.
No,
these
I'm
people
asking, are there
tax
articles
benefits.
about
I
this?
can't
Because I would
say
like
that
to
the
know if you
taxpayers
can-
are footing the bill for these people because
Yeah, I would
I've
like to
never
know if that's
been.
true. I would like to know if it's true that this is being footed by the American taxpayer, quote unquote, because largely these operations are done by private charities or private organizations in general. Now there might be some
NGOs receive money from the federal government by any chance?
Like direct cash?
Okay, all right.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like
I'm sure
it's not recently.
That's
at least the name of a
tacitly
nonprofit
admitting
doesn't
it.
make sense.
Would you shut the fuck up for 2 seconds? Thank you for tacitly admitting it by immediately adding a qualifier. Oh, it's not wads of cash, so it's not funding.
No, I'm sure that quite
it's
a
so
few of
fucking
them
bad
are.
faith. It's the most bad faith. It's
But I
embarrassing.
didn't say that, and I'm about to follow it up by saying no. I'm very sure at least some of them are getting some kind of direct funding or support from the American taxpayer, whether that be at the federal, state, or local level. But
Right,
largely,
so the answer would have been yes.
Well, there's lots of ways that you can help fund or support an organization without giving them just money in their bank account, right? And tax breaks are the biggest one.
Sure. You could provide them with assets, and tax breaks. Yeah, sure. That's sort of like indirect funding, I guess,
or
right?
making
it's like, hey, we're going to reduce
opportunity-
your. Yeah, we impose an artificial penalty on everybody for doing business in general, and we're going to remove it for these people who are going to provide us eventually with more votes. Whether it's them being naturalized, whether it's their kids being born here.
Do you know the number?
More votes and more GDP.
Do you know the number of individuals that were transferred? Like, is this going to cause a significant swing in Minnesota, or?
I mean, he's not talking about individuals. He's talking about the
Would you just shut the fuck up? I'm gonna answer his question, dude.
Bro, you've been talking all fucking night. Shut the fuck up.
Bro,
the
you
one
keep
time
talking
that I
every time you talk.
Say.
Every time you talk, you go off on 6 different tangents within the same sentence.
Okay.
You had your opportunity to prove otherwise. You didn't. I'm sorry. So I don't know what the exact number is. All right,
That's
don't have
exactly what I fucking said.
3.5 million.
I just want to say, hold on. First of all, I just want to say that Omar Fatah was born in Washington, D.C. He is an American who was born in the United States of America. He was not an immigrant or whatever.
And he is?
And he is what?
Somali.
But he's American. He's an American. He's a Somali American.
That's correct. He's just an American. He's an American. I never contested that his American citizenship.
I mean,
In fact, you guys asked me that.
I mean, you're just.
Well, I mean, to be a mayor, you don't have to
behind bringing these people into very particular regions of America.
So
I've got a question for you.
Can you restate your question?
Do you support universal health care or single payer health care for American citizens?
What does that have to do with anything? That's not this conversation.
Kalinda, no, it's very irrelevant, actually.
Who are you asking that question to?
Do you support it? To Ash. That's a good question. Yeah. To Ash, do you support single payer healthcare, socialized universal healthcare for American citizens?
I don't know what your policy prescription is for something like that, so I'm not.
No.
Now's
Now's not the time to play dumb. No. We all know what it means.
No, I don't know what your policy
For
prescription
American
is on that.
citizens, do you believe
Medicare
that
for all.
the general
I
population should be
heard your
taxed
first fucking
in order
question.
to
I'm
make
not
sure
going
that when you
to-
walk out of the ambulance, you aren't charged an arm and a leg?
Just
All right,
an
so
just an
go ahead
ambulance.
and just say it again, I guess, because
The entire thing.
Can you just
Go
go
ahead.
over it again? Because we're talking over each other. That's my bad.
Do you think American citizens should have universal basic health care?
Universal, yes, but I
Define
just
basic.
went over
You
like
do.
what do you mean by that? I think you gave an explanation
I mean,
a
like,
moment ago,
broken
but I was talking
legs,
over you.
chemotherapy. I would say most like
Chemotherapy?
non.
I know what the
I would say-
healthcare
I would
is.
say
What do
most,
you
like,
mean for like the
non-
mechanism of payment
non-aesthetic.
and providing care, the restrictions and stuff like that?
I mean, do you think people should be bankrupted because they have an emergency?
Should?
I think they should. They
Like,
ought
do you
to.
think
Like, we have a
American
moral
citizens-
duty to bankrupt them, and if they visit the
No, it's not
doctor?
about a moral duty. That's about individual
No, use the word
actors,
should.
That's how you're
maximizing
pitching
their
it, you
profit.
fucking dumbass.
I mean,
I'm
can you
asking
answer
you,
the
like,
question? So
well,
you
I
are,
just
you are
believe
fine
that
with
they should
universal
have it.
basic
It's like,
healthcare.
okay, I
citizens.
understand that. I'm asking you, what's your mechanism of providing that service? And I'm going to
told you.
give you an answer on whether I think I'm more likely to support it or not. And maybe there's some
you can do,
conditions
like,
under which I'll do
private
that.
individuals, public individuals, both. Honestly, the competition between the two is probably better. Okay,
What
so
the fuck
I mean,
are
do
you talking about? I said, how are
This
you
is
going to provide it?
This is
How
my
are you
most
going to
coherent
provide
fucking
it?
question
How
yet.
are you
So
going to
answer it yes or
provide it?
fucking
How
no.
are you going to provide it? How are you going to provide
Why,
it?
why don't we skip
What
that
does this
and
have to
just
do with the
assume
conversation
yes?
that we're having?
This is actually-
So-
this is
so-
a very important question. For
Because
me,
we don't know where you're
This is
going.
fucking
I feel-
amazing.
I
Nobody
think
knows
This
where
is
you're
being
going.
derailed.
Yeah, nobody
No.
knows where you're going. So why don't we just
I'm very
ask for a
curious.
moment? Let's just say yes for a moment. See what he says.
Thank you. I will say yes. I
Okay.
do believe. I firmly believe that we should reject our moral duty to bankrupt people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so
I am
we
an
can
anti-healthcare
cover it.
thingist.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a derail. This is a total derail.
No,
Yeah.
all right. I think I got my question.
Yeah,
finally.
back to
And
the
it was kinda
conversation.
stuck to
So,
that.
hold on.
Oh,
Wait,
a
wait,
different
wait,
room
wait,
or
wait,
something
wait,
so that we
yeah,
can
wait,
talk about
wait,
this shit.
Wait,
Now,
so that
follow-up
You
is,
have a
do you
server,
think
right?
non-citizens should have access to it? People who are legally here, people who have yet to become citizens, people like the Somalis in Minnesota. Do you think that they should have access to?
Well, some of them are
Universal healthcare?
citizens, as we've recently discovered.
He
but-
means the ones that
And-
aren't
and what I'm saying is
citizens.
that the ones that are yet
Yeah,
to be
no,
citizens.
I
do you
know.
think they should get it?
I was getting like a quick jab in. I'm aware that he means the ones that aren't citizens. I
Mhm.
don't believe that non-citizens should, in general, be entitled to taxpayer
The same
benefits.
privileges as citizens.
And I would do taxpayer benefits, and so I would suspect, probably no.
They are
There are some
taxpayers.
things that could convince.
Like immigrants do pay taxes, so they are
Okay.
taxpayer benefits.
Okay,
Do you want to use
Alright,
like
let's
citizen?
just say yes
there are some
again.
factors.
This is
Again,
supposed to be
there's
a
some
theme. Like,
factors
where
that can
are we
convince
going
me
there?
one way or the other, and he still has. He's not going to answer where we're going with this because he's high.
Council, you're running out of time. Please get to the point. I'm talking to him. Dispel.
Oh,
Where are you going?
I'm just curious, like how far into
It
the
works for me
socialist,
too. I'm
policy
also
platform
lovely.
he'd be willing to go into. I'm just curious.
My God, you're just derailing.
So you're not talking
Yeah.
about anything related to what we were talking about in regards to so let me.
So we were talking about the importing.
No, you don't need to clarify or
Somalis
change
into
your
Minnesota.
narrative of whether or
And
not
so
we're going
that's
to.
that's what I was asking.
Okay.
For a specific
Yeah,
policy.
no,
Okay, so-
fuck off.
Just to go back
Alright,
to the topic of the Somalis, I don't know how much you. I mean, I certainly haven't really looked into this topic in particular. I'm sure we can move
I'm
to
not
something.
an expert, right? Don't take
Yeah,
anything
right.
that I say
I
at
don't
face
think
value and stuff
I'm
like
not
that.
trying to pin you as one or not. So, like,
No,
what
I'm putting that up front. Like, hey, I'm not,
Yeah,
not an expert
I
on
get
this.
that. I
Feel free to
appreciate
call me out on anything you find.
No, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just trying to get some basis here. So, like, from what I can see just off of Wikipedia, right? These kind of programs for the resettlement of Somalis from Somalia kind of started in the early to mid 1990s after the outbreak of their civil war that caused the complete internal collapse of their government and like roving bands of not mercenaries, pirates and robbers to roam Mogadishu. And they've been settled largely in Minnesota or some places across the states. I'm not sure why or the reason behind that, but there's
Minnesota, they're recently getting imported to New Hampshire is another big one.
maybe it just seems Minnesota has the largest concentration of the population. There's around 40 to 50,000 individuals from Somalia that live there in Minnesota, and they've been coming since the 90s. I don't know if it's for some reason become a recent problem or what the exact issue is, but like I said, I just don't think it's something that, not like I said, sorry. It's not something I think needs a huge amount of particular focus. I think it can be used as an example to make a point of something. But if we're talking about things that are going to have a significant impact on the outcomes of elections or other things like that, the first generation and the second generation are not going to be large enough to impact. And then by the third generation, these individuals are basically almost identical to native, sorry, how do you say this? Not Native Americans, like, reservations.
Fucking heritage America, or heritage stock or something.
Is that actually a term?
Yeah, so that's
Heritage
the
Americans
National
is a term.
Socialist term.
Apparently, there's a term for like the founding stock.
The founding stock is the Groyper Nazi
like
term.
Okay, how about born and bred?
And we finally got to my point. Thank you, Kalinda. I appreciate it.
How about born and bred Americans? There we go. That'd be a good term.
Finally, he's gone. Jesus.
Did you say his point was like heritage? What the fuck?
No, he was trying to say that you were a Nazi. He was trying to walk you down to say that you were a Nazi or a Groyper. Yes,
oh,
that was...
fucking... I can't say that.
He's gone.
But
he left.
He left.
Don't worry about it.
So... go ahead, Sonia. I've been cutting you off. Yeah.
I hope he goes to sleep and thinks about what he's done. I hope he goes down to the kitchen and pours himself a nice warm glass of bleach.
I think Ash and I can keep it civil. It's just we get animated at least.
Yeah, we'll be fine. It was just the dispel.
One of the things that I got to experience where I used to live, it was a Vietnamese community originally.
Ding lao.
And the way that it worked was, when we decided to get out of Vietnam, we took a few shiploads of Vietnamese people who didn't want to stay there, who wanted to come back with us. We brought them back and we dropped them off at a couple different locations on the western coast, right? And my community was one of those. And what they did was the U.S. government bought up some of the farmland in the area and then paid contractors to build out homes. And then they got to live there and they built a community out of it. And the community grew. And as more people came over from Vietnam as they could, they came over there. And so it became a Vietnamese community. And the community itself, it's very, like, it's older Vietnamese, right? But you can see it when you go there. It's very Vietnamese. But they still integrated over time, and they had a life here as Americans, and it didn't really have any issues. I'm sure they had their issues early on with integrating, probably some differences in culture, probably had some issues with, trying to figure things out and get started, probably had some crime as well.
Made some great donuts.
Now it's very nice community, very uplifted community. It's one of the more valuable parts of the San Jose area, and it did well. So sometimes those kinds of things happen when they have a large number of people coming over from those kinds of situations where they're getting people out of a bad situation and giving them a place in America. And they're like, okay, well, here's an area that we've got that we can put you right now that's going to be more affordable. We can subsidize the housing. We can get you, a spot in there. And so they kind of do that. So it's not always something about like, oh, where are they going to fit best? It's about where can we afford to put them right now, or can we subsidize the cost most effectively, right? Where is the land more affordable? Where are the, places that we can put them? And so that's how those things kind of work out sometimes.
I feel like
It would not be
I
out of
don't.
the question for somebody if you were, let's say that we were importing like a really, really, like we're importing the Oompa Loompas and they really fucking love Trump. They're big fans. They're like, hey, that's my ethnic enclave, same skin tone, matches perfectly. That's my guy. And somebody says, well, they've been through this terrible war and we got to do this, like we're going to help them out. And they happen to notice, well, New Jersey got awfully close to flipping last election. Maybe we drop them in Camden. Or we drop them in like probably Cherry Hill. They're not going to do well in Camden. We drop them straight in Cherry Hill. And over time, we start seeing a little bit more of a shift in that electorate. Like these, I guess what I'm pitching is the idea that maybe these two things are not mutually exclusive. That doesn't mean just because they're not mutually exclusive doesn't mean that I am correct, of course. But I do think it's worth pointing out.
I wholeheartedly reject this premise that you've been implying, like, since the start of us talking about this notion that, like, specifically the Democratic Party wants to bring in people so that they can get more votes from them, even though it'll take these people a long time before they can become
objectively
voting.
Correct.
No, it's
did it. They started the project in 1960, and it paid fantastic dividends. The map of the United States, when paid for by, or when selected by minorities writ large.
By the way, just so you know, this is why Dispel thinks you're a Nazi.
100% blue. If you were listen, if you believe that immigration is a right, why would you not do this?
Well, with the Vietnamese that were brought over, it was Republicans that gave them the land at the time. So the Republican administration.
Was Reagan a secret hardcore Democrat with or Bush with the amnesty stuff? Like,
didn't California flip blue afterwards? And not solely due to that, obviously. But how many people did that? How many new voters did that introduce? Not to mention that their kids would be able to. I mean, they would be able to continue supporting.
Well, California had been flipping back and forth blue and red for a while, because we had Reagan as a governor, and we had God, what's his name? We just had him again.
Schwarzenegger?
No.
The guy before Newsom that failed to get the rail built.
Yeah. Why am I forgetting? Jerry Brown.
Shit,
Jerry Brown.
Oldfield.
Because we had him, right? We had him. We had Reagan. We had him. We had another conservative governor. I forget who. And then we were blue after that. From then on until we had Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger was the first red we had in quite a while, and then we went back to blue again. But we had flipped many times over before Jerry Brown. It was. And Reagan, it was like consistently back and forth, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, because we're a very rural state, and the cities weren't nearly as densely populated, so they didn't control as much of the vote. So, if you take a look at California's demographics, it's the cities, mainly the cities along the coast, that are blue, and everything else is red. Because we're a huge rural and farming state. So it's really the cities that kind of shift the votes. But back then that wasn't the case. It was more balanced. So it would go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, whoever controlled the districting that previous year.
Has it, correct me if I'm wrong, this is just off a quick Google search. So has it gone red in the presidential election since H.W. Bush?
No.
All right. That seems like a big deal. I know I was implied to be like a racist Nazi earlier for just mentioning the numbers, but like it's a numbers, like I'm a game designer. Come on.
Yeah, but the idea, but how do you know that was because of immigration?
Well, if you're fucking Well, I don't. Well, how do we decide? Maybe you're a conspiracy theorist. I believe that we decide elections based on votes.
Yeah, I know, but how do you
And I think
how do
that
you
if
know that
you,
it was also I just have one other question as well because we brought this up earlier and I feel like this is something that
Stop. Focus on what we were just talking about. Don't ask another question.
Ask 3 questions in a row without getting an answer. Keep going.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him.
that will stun lock me. That will. I'll miss a few.
Okay, then
At least I might miss more questions than you asked.
how do you know that this is because of immigration though? Like Zonia, do you know has California's demographics shifted? Are there lots of immigrants that moved there?
Yes, the entire United
Objective
States demographics have
Entire fucking
shifted.
United.
Well,
What
the
the fuck
information-
do you think importing 1 million people a year for 60 years would do to the demographics? I'm not even. I'm not presenting an argument against this. I'm not saying that like it's awful that the demographics have shifted. I'm pointing out just like a really clear cause and effect. And if you have an argument against it, you have an argument against what I'm saying that my numbers are off, or there's some other cause of action that's changing
I
this.
mean, my argument against
like,
it is
please.
that I don't think that this was something that was deliberately done by the Democrats in order to get more
Yeah, I don't
votes.
think so either.
I don't think
Okay,
that makes
especially
any
if it was
sense.
purely accidental. That's totally fine. I think I'm a little suspicious of that argument because if I mention that, like, hey, it's having this pretty obvious effect on our electorate, you immediately jump to why I'm conspiracy or a Nazi or racist.
I mean,
Nazi's pretty fucking severe, and
Sorry.
I want to encourage you to fucking watch it on that.
Okay,
Well,
I
dispel
was
it,
I was
hold
I was
on.
partly
I'm a
memeing when I
little
said
fucking
that. By
sick
the
of it.
way, I was
Ash, Dispel was the only one to bring up anything related to Groyper shit, and she was just trying to clarify after he left.
yeah. I was when I said this is why Dispel
By the way,
said.
this is why he thinks you
Yeah,
are
I was
one, which
memeing,
implies that
Jesus.
No.
Okay, that's my bad. I'm just tired.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I overreacted.
So, Ash, what
But
do you
anyways, to go back to talk about like some California stuff with regard to immigration and demographic change, at least up until the 90s, even into the 90s, a lot of the immigration pushes were mostly Republican. Were pretty big Republican pushes, or were overseen by Republicans.
Like which ones?
The big ones were like we had. Well, probably the biggest one, honestly, would be Reagan. Reagan pushed a lot on getting immigration, mainly for business. And
that was Reagan also pushed for enforcing something. The whole thing was we grant amnesty to illegal aliens, and then you actually start enforcing the border. At which point
she's talking about that agreement did not go through.
That was once he was a U.S. president, but in California, he was big on immigration for California business because he was really working closely with business in California.
Which is the way it should be done. The thing is that it should be businesses that so if businesses need people, you should be able to that is why you would say, why should we have lobbyist groups for that exact reason? That lobbyists would be the ones that, or special interest group would go say, hey, we're missing these kind of workers. This is the kind of immigration we need. So, and
going all the way into the 90s, it was, from my recollection, it was always more of a Republican talking point about improving, having strong immigration
building
for
their lives,
business.
The American dream.
I'll give you a
that
point in your favor.
In the 2000s, so it shifted.
Even in Texas today, we have Governor Abbott is hugely pushing for increased immigration, specifically from India, which has changed the demographics of a few places around the DFW metroplex.
And it switched
you
in
need to call him by his
2000,
actual name, Governor Hot Wheels. Thank you.
Governor, I'm going to run as Democrat Super Hitler, and now you can call me Nazi again, by the way. This is my apology. This
went from a Republican to a Democrat issue after that, after the 2000s.
Yeah.
So
I'm pushing him into the Rio Grande.
Yeah, Ash, what do you think about or concern yourself with when it comes to the fact that, in the recent elections, the Democrats could not largely rely on a voter base of Hispanics who, not overwhelmingly, but a substantial portion just started voting.
There was a shift.
The Lion does not concern himself with the voter base.
Yeah, no. I think they're cool.
Well, like that's where I have
I've
issue.
been working like I got my start doing manual labor, so I know a lot of Spanish workers and Hispanics in general. And I think that if you go to, I don't know, man, a lot of those people were here since before it was America, and I think that many of them are as bought in, if not more, to the American proposition as
Well,
the original settlers. You know.
yeah, it's just like what I have problem is trying to tie the idea. Well, like first, I disagree with that. I don't know if you in this conversation if you brought up or y'all argued over heart cellar or things like that, but
Yes,
like
kinda.
first of all, I would
No,
like disagree with
well, Kalinda has brought it up. We haven't argued over it. I'm sorry
Okay,
for
gotcha.
interrupting you.
No, you're good. You're good. But like, first of all, I would disagree with the idea that it was some intentional plan to manipulate the outcomes of elections or change the electorate in any way. But the broader
All
point is that
concede.
like, how do you track and tie like people coming here and then voting Democrat when we have examples of people doing the opposite, especially after they've been here for one or two more generations. So not the first generation that immigrated here, but their children and their children's children who over that period become more aligned with the the what did I homegrown Americans, born and bred Americans or whatever, which is like these people are generally like conservative individuals. They're strong, they're fucking Catholics, unfortunately. Excuse me, I don't like Catholics in particular, but that's just the Lutheran soul in me. Let me get
Yeah.
my
So
mallet.
when was the election saved by? I've never voted Republican, to be clear, but
That's
for
fine.
the sake of the whatever.
You've never voted for
what
any
great
Republican
election?
candidates?
Never.
Apparently, he voted for Kamala. I think.
I did not vote for Kamala.
Okay,
Oh,
then I don't know. Did you vote for Jill
I
Stein?
voted third party. I'm sorry.
Did you vote? Did you
I
vote?
did not vote for. Why would I vote for Jill Stein?
Okay,
What
then
the
I
fuck?
guess you
Why is that
voted
even
the-
an
Who
option?
I know. I am a what is it? I'm a psychic. I know who you voted for.
I wrote in Ron Paul as I do in
I
80 different.
wrote in Joe Biden. You ain't retiring for shit, motherfucker.
I was gonna say you voted for Vermin Supreme because you wanted a free pony.
Wait, who was the libertarian? I don't even.
This year, Chase something. It was
Some
a guy,
piece of shit. Some retarded piece of shit.
A super overly compromising libertarian. Like like Ron Paul was the quote unquote last real libertarian politician, and Gary Johnson was like 40% less, and then like after that, you had Chase somebody.
Just collapsed afterwards.
Chase was the one
Gary
who
Johnson. He's
basically
pretty
sold-
fun.
Yeah, Gary, what is Aleppo? It was sad that killed his entire campaign. But Chase, the Libertarian Party candidate this past year, basically sold out the Libertarian ticket directly to Trump's pocket.
Yep. And Gary Johnson's big problem is that he didn't know how to handle the media. He didn't have any media training, and he didn't know how
way
to.
Further than he should have.
He did. Like policy-wise, at least with what he had talked about in the past, I think he fit quite in line with libertarian views. But he just did not know how to handle himself in the media and how to present himself in the media.
And he didn't have that personality like Trump did to just steamroll through things. Like if Gary could have capitalized on the whole fact of the matter of like how ridiculous the initial Libertarian Party debates were, where he was just up on stage like, I think it's all right if people, should be qualified to drive their car and have a license, and the next guy is like, well, what's next, needing a license to make toast in my damn toaster? And then at the end of it, a dude pulls down his pants and waddles around on stage. Like how can you not capitalize on that? But he's not media.
All right, so I know I just joined, but you have to
to the left.
You have to be talking about the libertarian debates back with Gary Johnson. Am I correct?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. We're talking about
how did I know? How did I know?
Yeah, I was a big supporter of Ron Paul back in the day. I was a big supporter of him. but I was also
My boy.
like just like dyed in the wool libertarian at the time as well. So I was like, I got to see this one through. But unfortunately,
Oh, here's a good one, Kalinda.
didn't get
What should the Zionists and the neocons do to regain America's trust after they? What should Ben Shapiro, our favorite foreign spy, fast-speaking foreign spy, what should he do to apologize for slandering Ron Paul, the most kind Christian, harmless, fundamentally liberal, libertarian, whatever you want to say, slandering him as a Jew hater, slandering him as somebody who would gripping a pen as he would the neck of a Jew. What do you think the Zionists should do for slandering people like Pat Buchanan? This is Ron Paul.
Oh, okay. Are you talking about the controversy over some papers published through his institute that they later like found out who did it and like fired them and shit? Or
no, I'm referring to
I know. Like, what was Ben referring to?
Ben was literally just saying he's up there, he's holding his pen tightly, he's imagining it's the neck of a Jewish man.
Hold on, I gotta look this up because I've never heard of this. Ben
Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, fast-speaking foreign spy, has said that he has not been called out on.
I have followed Ben Shapiro for a long time, and I have never heard of this before.
I haven't heard this either.
Ron Paul, no. What the hell? This is a twat. This is from 2011. Ben Shapiro. Ron Paul is manifestly insane. As in previous debates, he is now gripping the pen as he would the neck of a JOO. What the fuck?
I do not remember.
Which I believe is pronounced Ja.
I feel like did Ben Shapiro's account get hacked? Did he actually did he write Joe?
It's his.
Is this? Do you think that this is at all out of character for people who slander Pat Buchanan as being anti-Semitic?
No, this is definitely.
It sounds like political, like the political sparring that.
In another tweet on the same day. Sorry, on another tweet on the same day
to say like this guy is a Nazi.
No,
hold on. On another tweet on the same day, he wrote, Gringich almost drops his pen, but Ron Paul grabs it and wrings it like the neck of a Jew. He says it twice. What the fuck is this?
I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting Ben Shapiro would say something like that. By the way, I don't like Ben Shapiro. I hope that you don't think that I do. I am not a fan.
I don't think he does.
What do you think that he should? What do you think that the Zionists should do to apologize?
Call him a slur.
True story. Ron Paul once met a Jew he liked.
I'll give you the pass.
What? Why? What is?
I will. I'll give you the pass.
Ben Shapiro likes to accuse people of being
has confirmed that I have at least 0.00017%.
No, I'm not going to call him a slur.
He's very invested.
No, what is
It doesn't have to be like the specific slur that you're thinking of. It could be.
Where did you see?
What was
this? Was posted. This was posted on Conservative 3 days ago. What the fuck?
What was the actual context of the debate at the time that this was said? Does anybody know?
Of the Ben Shapiro thing?
Context that would make it appropriate? Because I don't know, but like I'm sensing it. I'm turning on my Kalinda brain. I'm sensing it. I'm like a presence I haven't felt in many years.
Why do you think that
a neoconservative?
Hold on. Do you think that I'm like a neocon or something? Is that your impression?
No. When I say like I'm turning on my Kalinda brain, I'm sensing what he's going to say and like the kind of opinion that he's having. Because I do this all the time. That's why I tease him for it.
Oh,
I can feel it. I'm like, ooh, there's a neoconservative here. I think it could be. I can be totally wrong, of course.
I think
we're gonna bomb the shit out of them.
I think it's very likely, probably, that Ron Paul probably said something that Ben Shapiro didn't like in a debate that maybe might have been like anti-war on terror, or like not wanting to full-throatedly support Israel, or he said something that was like maybe vaguely critical of Israel, and Ben Shapiro got real mad about it. That would be my guess. Would be the context.
Or he was just fucking farming.
Well,
yes,
Ron
that's
Paul
also possible.
Ron Paul was against us going into Iraq, and probably Ben Shapiro didn't like that, I would imagine.
Yes.
It's also worth pointing out that you
got
said that this was
him as a Nazi.
It's also worth pointing out that you said that this was 2011, back when Ben Shapiro was first really getting a foothold. And back then, Ben Shapiro, just like every other edgelord that is trying to go and make a name for themselves, would say all sorts of shit to go and fucking get any amount of attention that he could.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
probably
and
as well as
here's
there
the
was-
thing: Ben Shapiro's people, and I'm referring here to the neoconservatives, of course, had pulled the same routine with Pat Buchanan, and it was part of an organized effort. Well, I shouldn't say organized.
No.
Concentrated,
You're
targeted effort.
Yes.
To go after Ron Paul.
Yes. To completely crush him and eliminate him from the primary system because he was garnering up to 40% of the vote in certain key primaries, and they just stopped fucking reporting on it.
I don't disagree with you. Can I just offer just a little bit of context? So, Ron Paul, who I have had a lot of respect for in the past, is not by definition any form of a conservative. He's a libertarian.
Yeah.
He ran as a Republican because nobody knew what a libertarian was, and as somebody pointed out, libertarians like to go and rip their pants off and run around the stage, fucking pantless. Which is why
Ron Paul was not
no serious fucking politician can really identify as a fucking libertarian, even if that's their politics. They have to run as a fucking Republican. Have to.
Yeah, there's a party structure for it.
Yeah. Okay. So
again, they're trying to crush this guy because it's politically convenient for them.
Well, it's not.
And that's why we have $10 trillion, or sorry, how many trillion? I always lose count after the second day of no sleep.
Well, I was barely really like into politics back in 2011, even though
I've got the context.
Okay,
what is it?
Okay, so first of all, it was like an off-the-cuff response to Ron Paul saying end all foreign aid and then appending including Israel and having a general non-interventionist policy, which compared to Shapiro the war hawk is big problem. But he clarified the statement in extension with we should still be a strong ally and friend to Israel, but we should not interfere in their whatever. And then, as well as what I mentioned in the very, very beginning, at the exact same time that this was going on, all of those early 1990s, where is it? In the 1980s and 1990s, there were newsletters published under Paul's name through his foundation, but he didn't write them, he didn't approve them, he didn't know about them, and they resurfaced at the same time as all this, and it had a bunch of anti-Semitic, racist, and homophobic content inside of it. So that's why but it's more likely he was trying to capitalize in the media sphere of the early media sphere of YouTube of that's when clip chipping really was a thing,
Well, so one of the things in the current day that is very interesting is when people go and specifically they just want to talk about none of you guys